again, I said it last episode. I did not think I would miss Sam. I'm being 100% with you guys right now. I did not think that I was going to be like, oh no, Sam Riegel is gone. Because, to be honest, he kind of annoyed me at the table. I was like, Like, when he was gone, I was like, maybe it'll be better. I kind of missed him. I kind of missed Sam Riegel. Sam Paris, you shut your mouth. This doesn't concern you. But yeah, I missed him at the table. I definitely missed Laura. All of these guys are great. I mean, honestly, if they were not all entertaining to watch, I know that there's stuff with Orion. We're waiting until the 20s to discover that. But right now, as I'm going through this, I've made all sorts of comments about how much I fucking hate that they have 8 fucking people. But they make it work because every single one of those 8 is a very entertaining specimen that you really feel the absence of when they're gone. Because again, I wasn't expecting it with Scanlan, but I really did. Scamman is a gem, and his morale boost is noticeable effect when at the table. Dude, I fully believe that if had Scanlan been there for episode 5, like, it might have been more interesting. Like, I actually, out of all of them at the table, I think that Tiberius has interesting battle creativity. I think that Caleb has interesting magical creativity. I think that the entire top row are fantastic role players. Taliesin Percy, I know that there's some medication with stuff with him. He's very quiet, which is totally okay. When he has acted, I've liked him a lot. But yeah, Scanlan has so much creativity outside of the combat that really like pushes things forward in a fantastic way. He's an RP narrative button pusher while Grog is the combat button pusher. Yeah, dude. For sure. 0 to 104, there's something that happens here for the first time. Oh, wait, what? Wait, what happened? 0 to 104. Let's see. Oh, looky. Woo! Very nice. They do the cosplay. All right. Gotta have this on while I sleep. Don't say. Eat a nightmare. I'll be doing all sorts of subliminal altering. I was just so
Have we rested? Are we in need of some rest?
We should probably rest.
What are we around? What's near us? Is this just a tunnel? Is there any sort of shelter?
We're by that lake with the giant monster.
We
player.
circled all the way back, or we ran a circle.
Shit.
And went down to that place that you told us not to go in the first place. Yeah, that's where we ended up.
Yeah. How was that for you?
So essentially, we're
back in the camp.
You're under the camp. You're where the giant chasm leads down into the waterfall. There's the pool of water at the bottom where the aboleth
We
was
just
in.
barely survived the chat room, and now we
Dude, that's so funny, them having to explain to this person of like, oh, we're just back where we started. Well, what happened in between? Like, what did you guys do? Not important. Honestly, not very impactful. If there was even one interesting note on the long way for them to be like, oh, but we found this thing. No. They don't even mention the ooze fight because it doesn't fucking matter.
Yes.
Chat room.
You guys also just woke up about 2-3 hours ago.
Oh. Right. So we don't really. We could take hit point.
And you guys can take a short rest and use your hit dice to heal up. So
Oh.
you didn't take
And
any-
actually, that might be a good little honestly, that is a good small like bite-sized DM tip, bite-sized DM lesson. Because at the end of episode 5, someone mentioned how, normally their traditional games would go for like 8 hours, maybe 10 hours. So they would have these normally really long games, so the pacing wasn't quite as much of an issue. And I agreed at the time, and I still do generally agree. However, I would say that if you're a DM, you should have an interesting thing every 2.5, 3 hours. Something interesting. Doesn't have to be anything crazy, but like a clue, a foreshadowing, something interesting. I think that is a really good pace to aim for, of like every 2.5, every 3 hours, because you can even cut through some analysis paralysis, because you could say like, okay, well, I have all these interesting locations laid out, but the players just stood there talking in the town all day. And this can even apply to things like shopping sessions. One interesting thing, something that they overhear, something that they see, a weird feeling that they feel, something goes missing, they see a potential target for later. One interesting thing every 2.5 or 3 hours. If they had anything interesting that was worth telling Scanlan, I don't think episode 5 would have felt as bad as it did. They just needed something to be able to tell him. And I think that's good no matter how long your sessions are. Keeping that sort of pace is really good. And even if they're sitting there, analysis paralysis, they've got their blankets around their shoulders, they're not moving. You can do this no matter what. You can give them an environmental hazard, an environmental clue, environmental foreshadowing. The rumbling of the boulette could qualify as this. Just something.
With a loose-fitting sort of clothes.
Scanlan, stop being creepy.
I'm not creepy, I'm just trying, mindful.
Oh, it's fine.
This motherfucker, Scanlan, I tried, man. I was like, I can't wait until Scanman's back. And then you come back and you start saying this shit. Sam, not Samuel Paris, Sam Regal. This is why I wasn't sad when you left, Sam. This is why. Get your act together. They entered a new location, and Matt gave a ton of visual description, but what did he not talk about? What you hear and what you smell. The sulfur, the hot dust. It almost feels like you're entering into a desert. The more moist, moldy smells that you were smelling near the aboleth pit fade into sharp, acidic tones. I mean, it writes itself. Come on. What do you smell?
As far as you can see this travel, it's still a very pungent odor, and you find that it's going to be very difficult for you to make up any other scent in this location right now.
See, and this is why I don't feel bad throwing shit at Matt, is because half the time, he just takes my criticism and just solves it 5 minutes after I give it.
Onto the roof and is forked onto each side and then continues to flow down.
It's badass.
Buttressing each side of the stronghold almost as a defense mechanism. Like they built it intentionally underneath this magma fall.
Wow.
Oh, and see, this is... Okay. So a lot of times when I'm thinking about... This is DM advice. When I'm thinking about building, either doing world building, dungeon building, whatever we're calling it, I talked about a lot of times I build it more modular. So I'll build like 90% of a thing and then I put it somewhere. And I think this is a great example of like, he could have built the Ember Hold and then been like, okay, I want to put it in this big cavern. There are all these lava falls. Oh, it would be really cool if, like, to mesh it into the environment, I place it there and then there's a big magma fall on top of it that then goes out to either side. Then you have to consider, like, okay, if that's the case, like, how do they keep the people inside safe? And then you have some, like, fallout from that. And so, like, maybe you say, like, okay, they have, like, this, like, magma shielding that's this extra strength, hard rock that is very, very, very heavy. And so now that gives the players an opportunity to maybe destroy some supports for that ceiling and have the, ceiling come crashing in with all of the magma. Alternatively, maybe these walls are stronger than average to support and withstand the lava, and the players can use that somehow. That these walls are super duper duper strong. All of these are just examples of like Fallout decisions from one choice. And then you just keep following that thread out of like, there's a magma fall. What else is wrong with it? So I think a good example of this, if you've ever, maybe not want to spoil it, but I think that Mistborn Era 1 has a really good example of this, where you take the real world, you make one small difference, and then you just explore that difference to high heaven. You just say, okay, assuming that difference is the case, what are all of the Fallout things? I've also heard Matt in an interview talk about how this is how he makes small towns. So you say, okay, I want a town in this environment. What's in this environment? And you just choose like one thing of interest. So let's say that there's iron in this environment. Well, if there's iron, there's probably some sort of mining town. Well, if there's a mining town, there might be some sort of trade guild in order to manage the sales and the caravan that comes through. And there might be a separate group of workers that maybe isn't unionized, but is sort of a unofficial gang that can stop production whenever the trade guild gets too out of hand. And there would probably be an extra governmental body to regulate all of the general goings-on and the utilities of the town. Not to mention an overseer's office from the land that they reside in. Like, you just make one decision and just think about, like, what would happen in this town if that one decision was made. And then you can get even deeper into, like, interpersonal conflicts. You can tell Romeo and Juliet type stories if there are different factions. I mean, all of this from the choice that there is iron here. That's it. And it just boils out into a whole settlement. So I think that is kind of a just general advice on just world building in general, on make small decisions and then follow that thread out. It'll make the entire thing feel so much more cohesive.
His brain. Yeah.
I was there.
I know. You were drunk, so I'm reiterating.
Yeah. Good. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Just making sure. You had this.
So remember, Scanlan, that the general said that on the left side of the fortress is how we can get into the trap door.
How we can get into the trap door.
Right.
Exactly.
By the smaller of two
smaller
by the smaller of two levels.
of two what? Levels?
All right, Sam, you're coming back. You're coming back around. I'm with it.
Lava flows.
So what we're looking at is the fortress.
You're looking at Emberhold itself, the center of the Duergar Society, and from what you've gleaned from two different Duergar that you've interrogated, supposedly where Lady Kima has been held.
By King Murgold?
By King Murgold. Murgold and Queen Ulara.
All right, reiterating my theory. I've had this theory for a while now. I think I first pitched it in like episode 3 when we first learned about Kavarn. I think that Lady Kima is Kavarn. That the Duergar did some shit to her, made her into Kavarn, and or she was always Kavarn. I'm not quite sure. She then snuck down to Yog-Sothoth, I think, or maybe that might be a Lovecraftian great old one. I don't remember. The Mind Flayer City. She went down to the Mind Flayer City, snuck her way in there, charmed the Elder Brain, and is now controlling all of the Mind Flayers via Elder Brain, Gaze with Two Minds. Because she's a warlock. That's my Kavarn theory.
Probably an advantageous circumstance, but you find yourself now much easier to slip into the surrounding shadows.
They're nice shadows.
And I'm doing my flower girl routine with the dust.
Okay, so something that I want to bring up, because I actually use this all the time. When I am when I'm DMing, when I'm playing, when I'm world building, I use this constantly. And when I'm DMing, I make sure that my players have a general idea of what I mean. It is a Wikipedia page called the Settlement Hierarchy. I heavily recommend, if you are a DM, to favorite this page and to share it with your players, because this cuts through the fat of describing settlements so easy. And it allows you to use a single term to describe a ton of shit. So, there are some problems with the concept of a settlement hierarchy, yada, yada, yada. It's okay. I think it is very, very useful at my table, and I've only ever seen it be good and a positive. So there are like extreme density, more than 1 billion residents, and it has like these, kind of describes them a little bit. Not really, doesn't really matter that much. But when we talk about towns versus cities, these are big differences, and describing them appropriately can be a really quick way to get your players to understand the scene in front of them. So the difference between 250,000 to 1 million residents versus like 10,000 to 100,000 obviously is huge. And I also like to give my players examples of towns near us that actually, meet these criteria. So when I'm talking about a town, I'll be like, it's a town. This is a nearby, like, real world example of like what a town is. So I look up like a place with between 10,000 and 100,000 residents. And then when I talk about a city, I do the same thing. I'm like, okay, this is a city, this is a town, so that you have a real world analog for it, and you have a much better idea of what we're talking about now. And then you get into, kind of down here, there are minuscule densities of populations, more than 150 people. There's a hamlet that's like 30 to 50, this sort of thing. So yeah, and if you ever are going like above 1 million residents, you can then accurately use like metropolis, conurbation, megalopolis. Like, you can actually use all of these things and be like, oh yeah, this is a conurbation like the New York tri-state area or the Dallas-Fort Worth tri-state area, or not tri-state, but the Dallas-Fort Worth conurbation, right? Like, you can actually give real world examples to give a context to this fictional situation that we're in. And when I'm just world building, so not even when I'm running the game, I like to then look at it and I'm like, okay, like, I think that this place should have maybe like, 30,000 residents. So for 30,000 residents, like, what do those have? Like, okay, clinics, pharmacy, banks, supermarket. So they have those sorts of things, but they become less available as size reduces. Density may not be sufficient to support commercial areas like a shopping mall, which is great for me to know. And you can even go further in and really try to understand what, like, medieval towns would have been like. Or you can look up like medieval settlement of 20,000 people. But I digress. This is one of my personal DM tips that I don't think a lot of people know about or use. Wikipedia page for settlement hierarchy. Love it.
Traceless list, just over here, over there.
We don't really need,
And so if I was Matt, when they say like, oh, this is a whole little city in here, we just referenced the settlement hierarchy, that's like a lot of people. 250,000 to 1 million, right? 250,000 to 1 million. That's a fuck ton of people. And so that implies a whole thing. A city would not be able to fit in a space that's 1.5 miles wide, which they have established that this is, without being immensely like tall, without them being super like built into the floors, the walls, the ground. Like, these are kind of the natural fallouts of that if it truly is a city. And if someone of one of them says like, oh, it's a city, you can be like, oh, it's a town. It has about, 30,000 people, similar to X town near us where we're playing. So that is why I think it's relevant. And that's why I thought about it, is because like, I really doubt that this is actually a city. It's probably a town. What is this? Like a gibbering mouther? Like, what are we talking about?
A very strange pattern that you can't really grasp what kind of creature would make it.
And it seems like it was here recently or a while ago.
From best you can tell, the last time it was here was about 2 or 3 days ago to feast on more of the remains.
Human
Should we
footprints?
Should we go?
Human
to-
size.
I'm interested. I'm intrigued.
We
at
could
what this
try
could
to set a
be.
trap, or we could look and see if we can loot anything, or we can.
Shiny disease. Do
Is
not
there any
loot.
Does it look like anything shiny in there?
Anything shiny. Shiny disease. Stop it. You. Matt has described the scene of a massacre, and you. Look, honestly, if you really wanted to see what had done this and you want to set up an ambush, that's one thing. You should probably just run the other way. But you're going to go around and just start digging through what? They don't even have pockets. They're ripped apart. There are parts of head. You can barely tell that these are Duragar. Yeah, and you find 12 GP. Exactly, Richard. Son of a-
Semblance of armor that belonged to any of these individuals is in such tatters that it is unusable.
Yeah. Do not say you
You
find.
do manage to find
No!
some body parts, a couple of blood-soaked gold coin
Fuck
pieces.
you, Matt Mercer.
One of them contains a handful of gems.
Ooh.
So yes, it is right. So you can go down until you get a chance to actually appraise them.
No,
I
that's
don't
alright.
think we want to tangle with this. Why are we trying to...
Fuck it. They're just this. Okay. This is what I mean by Matt does not keep the pressure on. He describes this. I diagnose you with Skyrim. Yeah. I diagnose you with being able to pause while you're in your inventory, apparently. Because this is insane. This is like, he describes this very threatening camp with these crazy mind flayers and all of these Duragar, and then they get in and they have this intense battle, and then he stops the pacing in its tracks, kicks them right out of the scene in their minds so that they can look at their little pieces of paper with their little gems. Ridiculous. He gets this really fun chase scene of like all of the Duragar, and they're going out of the camp, and Clarota's injured, and I think one of them was downed. And then they get to the fork and they spend 10 minutes arguing about it, and he doesn't talk about how any of them are still trying to get them. You just spend all of this time describing this terrible, emotionally impactful scene of this blood and gore and horror. And also there's 12 gold and some gems that you can get appraised later. Come on, dude. Keep the pressure on. Like, yeah, you want to loot their bodies? You find pieces of their comrades in their pockets that have been accidentally placed there when they were flung around by the horror that did this. That could still be around, mind you. Like, dude, why do these Duragar have 12 wheels of cheese? All right. There is no war. Yeah, apparently. I mean, that was literally the group that walked by the band. One of them was like, oh, I heard it, like, these, like, Kavarn pets were tearing apart other groups. And the guy was like, nah, you must have misheard. There is no war in Ba Sing Se.
Prove. Let's just keep
I'm
trucking.
really bad at stealthing. We should
Come
go.
on.
We should leave.
I can't
Also put
control
the
singing
accordion
to
back in the
myself. We
All
should
right.
go.
Was I doing that? It's force of habit. I don't. It's like breathing.
Yeah, we're gonna go back to the group. I'm gonna bring
Yeah.
the arm.
I'll check out the Cascavale and pull a little.
And you hear how casual they are now? The entire table was silent and sick and like feeling terrible about this situation. And now they're like, oh yeah, I guess we'll go back to the group. Yeah, sure, whatever. Because they stopped the fucking scene in its tracks to look in their inventories. Terrible. Despicable.
Tank could avail because I'm bored.
Good
Have a
man.
sip, sip.
Well, that's very tasty.
I'm bored too, Travis. Because they got shiny disease.
Having been underground for what probably amounts now to about 4 or 5 days, that little taste of ale on your lips is a very welcoming and very refreshing sensation.
It's good
Oh,
shit.
delicious. Oh no, I'm drunk. Just kidding. That was fast.
When we get back
Just
to the
kidding.
group,
Oh,
I'm
darn.
gonna toss the arm to Grog.
You instinctively reach up and catch it. You look down and see what looks like a Durgar arm that has been very heavily mangled.
Oh, thanks for the hand.
That's a
Back scratch.
Well, we killed a lot of Durgars.
No negative anything. That was a good job.
I considered it.
Have mercy.
That was a good joke.
So there's some big centipede human creepy creature.
Yeah, at the crime scene of like a massacre. This wasn't like, oh, one Duragar body. This is like bodies ripped apart and flung around, and some unhuman abomination did all of it. And there's like, crazy. Oh, I wonder what they have in their pockets.
For the sake of the length of this journey, I'm going to have the party go ahead and roll a communal stealth check once more.
All right.
I still have Pass Without Trace.
Oh, for the love of God.
Which gives everyone a +10.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Don't bang the guns together.
And see, this is why. So there's like a whole concept of like the action economy, right? In D&D, and so this general concept means that the more combatants you have, even if the sides are technically balanced, which by that I mean that generally one PC level is equivalent to 1/4 CR, right? So a level 9 is a 2 1/4 CR, technically. That's the general conversion rate. However, if you have equivalent CR, whichever side with more bodies will generally win. And then that's because of a lot of reasons, but mainly the action economy. There's another problem with like scaling power. The more combatants you have, the better AoE abilities become. Something like Pass Without Trace in a 4-person party is very good. Do not get me wrong. It's very good. But it's not that much better. However, Pass Without Trace being able to apply this static bonus to 7 other people, I mean 8 total, just gets loony. It just gets loony with how beneficial that spell becomes. And that is why like massive parties can kind of fundamentally unbalance some things, and you need to keep that in mind when you're DMing, is that like even a 5-person party can be kind of weird, and like combats that seem balanced turn out not to be. And when you start going 6, 7, 8, you start getting into situations where like features that are not that bad in a 4-person party become ludicrously powerful in an 8-person party. So it's just, I'm not saying that you can't run with 8 people, but these are things you have to keep in mind. Anything that can basically hit multiple people just like in an area, and it's like a buff or it's a boon of some kind, becomes exponentially more powerful the more people there are, because you can start stacking those benefits.
Yeah, that happens too.
24.
Because you have 8 different sources of different distinct features. So you're more likely to have these big area features, yada yada.
Still here? I don't think he's still here. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Oh my gosh, he's gone. Oh. Okay, well, Jack Megaphone Man is gone, I am in charge of the stream now. He doesn't know I'm here. Oh, ooh. Oh, what do I say? What do I do? I don't even know. I did not think this through. Who's goofing? It's me. It's Dice Brain. It's Nico Dice Brain. You don't know me? You know me. How you guys liking Critical Role so far? Have you guys been enjoying it? The first few episodes are rough, aren't they, huh? I hope you guys have been treating Jack well. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could probably skip the first few episodes of Critical Role, but I mean, you could learn from them. There's stuff you can learn from. I like the insights Jack has. Like, I didn't really think about how Matt just doesn't really put the pressure on. The agency isn't really there with Matt Mercer. Who's your guys' favorite character in Vox Machina? We'll ask that question. Put in chat right now who your favorite Vox Machina character is. I know what mine is. I'll share it with you. Oh, is he coming back? I've already seen campaign 1, 2, 3. Vex is great. Love Vex. Jester. Oh, a lot of people like the Laura Bailey characters. Laura Bailey's pretty consistent with her characters. I think Scan first. I don't know he's coming back. No one tell him that I was here, okay? No one narc on me.
God damn it.
Dave.
Takes a moment to look over, and you can see his eyes kind of close slightly for a second. We've met. Not the kindest of my people, but nevertheless.
Is kindness a thing that Illithids value? That seems like praise. If I understand Illithid morality correctly, not being kind seems like a good thing. No? Maybe? Is Clarota just fucked in the head because he's been out of Illithid society for so long? I'm still convinced that they're going to go through all this Emberhold Duragar bullshit, and then they're going to get to the Mind Flayer city, free Kavarn, free them from Kavarn, and they're going to be like, thanks, also give us your brains. And it's going to be like an escape sequence. I'm still fairly convinced, because I do not think the other Mind Flayers are as like down to work with the lessers like Clarota is. And it's only because Clarota himself was like an outcast from their society.
Bulge with your, can't you move rocks?
I can.
So you could create a little lip for it to go around?
I was thinking I could either, that's not a bad idea, or I could, it's actually not a bad idea.
That's fucking
Yeah, I was thinking like a slanted, like a diagonal wall of stone almost might be able to redirect. There's a lot of interesting things that can be done here. And I'm again, it's it's simple stuff like fucking adding the magma flow and then just following that thread. I am interested to see if they ever explain why this trapdoor is here. Right? Because when I was describing and keep this in mind, this is how I world build, this is how I dungeon build. And I am personally very fond of it, is that everything should have a reason. Nothing should be there because it's a dungeon that Dungeons and Dragons players will be playing through. That's just not how I. That's not how I play. And there's a very good descriptor for this sort of phenomenon that's used a lot in literature. Especially in regards to mysteries, talking about Watsonian and Doylist reasoning. And I think Watson probably strikes a lot of your noggins. That is Sherlock Holmes's partner, and Arthur Conan Doyle is the writer of the book Sherlock Holmes. So whenever things happen in Sherlock Holmes, there are Doylist reasons. There are reasons that those things happen because the author, Arthur Conan Doyle, wanted them to happen. There are reasons that he wanted those events to occur for the plot. Now, there also, for good plots and for good stories and narratives, there also have to be Watsonian reasons. There have to be reasons that Sherlock can turn to Watson when Watson's like, Sherlock, why did you do that? Sherlock has to be able to turn to Watson and say, Watson, X, Y, and Z is why I did that. And it has to make sense. The door's there because chat in my live stream voted for it, which is why the fucking voting for monsters is terrible. Or it's either terrible or just involves so much extra work, which sucks. But Richard, you're hitting it. It's like, I'm very, so like, I know the Doylist reason, right? I know the authorial reason that this trapdoor exists behind the lava flow, right? It's there because it's a cool secret entrance that they will then have to use resources to access. That's the Doylist reason. But what could the Watsonian reason be? Like, if there are two Duragar that are on the inside and they see this trap door and one Duragar says to the other, hey man, why is that trap door there? What the fuck is the other one gonna say? It leads out into lava. Duragar don't have like special lava protection. Like, I don't know. I'm very interested as to the Watsonian reasoning for this. And when I talked about how I build my dungeons, all of it is like Watsonian at its core of like, I add this feature and then I look at that feature's effects on the world and change the world as I think Watsonially it would be changed because of the addition that I made with this like brand new feature. It's like, okay, this brand new feature, because of the inhabitants of the world, would have X, Y, and Z effects. So it's all like a Watsonian base. And that's how I especially build dungeons. And then occasionally you need certain things, right? You need like maybe an artifact or like a quest item or an NPC. You Doylist, like the Doylist reasoning is like that NPC needs to be in the castle. So that is like you just adding them in. And then you spread out with the Watsonian reasoning of like, okay, because they're there, this is happening and that's happening. And, you know, if they're here and not there, then these other Fallout features occur. So I really encourage you when you're thinking about your dungeons and your landscapes to really think through like in world, why the fuck is there a trapdoor there? The really common complaint with Skyrim is that every single fucking dungeon has a weird hidden door mechanism to the final chamber that like, why is it there? It's a straight line and then there's a trap door out to the exit. Why? There's no Watsonian reason. There are only Doylist reasons in that they don't want the protagonist to have to backtrack all the way out. That's it.
We really
Dude, oh my God, look at that. Travis is like, what if it brings attention? Who gives a shit? And then looks at his watch. That's a fucking action man right there.
Trace up, I'm going with you guys.
It's been over an hour. We've killed nothing.
Yeah, let's fucking go.
Well, so far, only the two of them have really approached the stronghold. You guys have stayed back behind.
Vampire needs blood.
So you can all try, in theory, if you all manage to stealth past them.
Wait, what?
Here's my plan.
Okay.
I'll take Pike up there. We knock those fuckers off super easy.
Yep.
Grog runs out and brains them the second they hit the ground.
I approve of this plan.
They'll fall in the lava. You
Yeah,
just
they'll
gotta
fall in
shove
a
'em.
lava pit. Just shove them off
Maybe.
the side.
I don't know where they're gonna fall.
Well, just
Okay,
do
well,
it.
in this little lava pit, we've got Croc.
I'm just saying right now,
Just be ready to let us know if
I'm
you
going to be
know.
reading this book.
Eagle form.
He's Yeah, I'm hanging by Keyleth
my
in
God,
case
this is so
shit
stupid.
goes south. Then we're going out, right?
Jump on my back.
What you
girl.
got? What you got, Pike?
Yeah, girl.
What can
Give
you
me
help
the
with?
flying carpet just in
This is part of the issue with having so many fucking people is that analysis paralysis, shiny disease, all of these things that break the pace of the game just become exponentially more difficult to deal with. Because one person gets analysis paralysis, then another person wants to chime in with their plan, another person wants to say what they're doing because they're not involved in the plan, but their character has to be accounted for. This person is like, well, maybe I could be an eagle and help out, and they're like, no, that'd be too much, and then they debate about how much it would be, and then this person says, all right, hey, let's just go. Oh, wait, we haven't killed anything in 10 minutes. Let's just do it. Like, you get too many voices, too many cooks in the kitchen. I've sometimes said that I don't think you need like traditional 5-man band roles in a D&D group. In an 8-person D&D group, you need a leader that is going to make a decision and like assign roles, and like things just happen. You just need it. Because otherwise you just get this jumbled blah, 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 blah.
There's a difference between healing magic and nutrition. You make them feel physically better for the moment, but their physical form itself is failing. Like,
Just a thought.
They need
Should
food,
we
they need
clear this
air,
mess
they
before
need
we let prisoners out?
to be out of here soon. They're both on the
Put 'em in the
on
bag,
the
I'll
edge
hold
of
them.
death.
I go to
Yeah,
the
Sorry, I've been like zoned out. I know what's happening, but I was watching. There's like drama happening in the chat. And I know that we've already talked about how at some point they eventually take away the chat because there's some sketchy / questionable things being said. And it caught my eye because I saw like message deleted, message deleted, message deleted. It's probably the right move. For React content like this where I am directly interacting with you guys, that's the whole fucking point. I can directly engage if there's anything weird in the chat, which there hasn't been because you guys are cool. But, for them, they're putting on a show. They cannot directly engage with this. So I think it's good that they eventually take that out.
That'll do.
What I like is that there are 8 of us and 1 of you.
So far.
We don't know what else is.
But he's
He's
got
in
a
a
big
room by
eye.
I can
himself.
see the square. It's very small.
It's possible.
We can
to-
turn him
You
into
looked
one.
inside and seen a brief bit of the room. All right, so 25 to 20.
I will also say, so we talked about this a little bit during the chase sequence out of the Durigar camp about like how many actions do you allow people to make? And Orion is the fucking worst about this, about like getting into a situation where you should certainly be able to take 0 to maybe 1 action and like trying to take multiple. Like even right here, hey everybody, roll initiative. And Orion's like, whoa, before that, Stoneskin. And it's like, brother, that's not how calling to roll initiative works. I'm gonna tell you, when roll initiative is called, everyone picks up a d20 and we are in initiative from then on. If you wanted to cast Stoneskin, you should have had it on this whole time. Because like that's part of like prepping for combat, and that's part of the resource allocation part of D&D. About like potentially burning your resources, having to keep concentration up so you can't cast other spells. Like that's why Stoneskin is not OP, is because it takes an action and you can't just do it. Or you have to take your first turn to do it. So, I mean, it's weird. I almost feel like hesitant about criticizing Orion because I know that something's up, but that's just a really good lesson case in like, hey, like you cannot, just because you can get a word in does not mean that your character can take an action.
Good job, Grog. That's your best one yet. They say video games are violent.
All right.
This is also a good example of why I do not scale enemies specifically to player levels. Because sometimes it is really fun to let PCs just absolutely stomp the shit out of lower leveled enemies. Like, he is a CR9 barbarian going up against what is at most a CR1. He has at least double its CR. At least. That is being like very, very generous. And so sometimes it's fun to just let them stomp and feel powerful and feel badass. And so that's why, like, in a lot of campaigns that I played in early, that I even ran early, it's like every single fight had to be balanced. Every single fight does not have to be balanced. Like, you just place enemies where they are, you place strong ones, you place weak ones, and the players engage with it how they will.
But she does not seem to be overtly aggressive or trying to deceive you, just trying to get out of these fucking chains.
I'm gonna check on her.
Easy for a level
What's a
20
check?
warlock to pass
See if
that.
there's like any kind of hold on,
She's
any kind of magical impurity is in her.
Under the
Best you can
interior
tell, there's
skirt.
none.
I'm pulling out my lockpicks and I'm going to start working on her.
And I'm gonna heal her with a little bit of a song.
And
Oh,
my
yeah.
lockpick snaps, so just totally.
Tink!
Yeah.
Great.
How hurt
If
is she?
I may.
Oh, please.
She's pretty rough. She looks like as you look up, she's not clothed. Her body is just a spray of scars and gashes and rake marks, and she's been tortured to an extent you hadn't seen in person. And to still be like
I don't trust it. I don't trust. He's literally talking about how it's so crazy that she is so vital and like vibrant, and oh, it must be her strength of character. Fuck that. Who has strength of character in this economy? No fucking way. This shit's Kavarn.
tensing her muscles against the chains and looking at you with this intensity. If this is indeed Lady Kima, you now see why she's made the reputation she has.
Okay.
Grog, the
So
loading
I
mechanism
step
on this
forward
is
and
jammed.
I pull out my flute and I sing.
I mean, fair enough, Angus. That's actually, yeah. That is the entire point of Paladins. You right.
It was foolish of me to come down here so unprepared. I just knew there wasn't much time.
Time till what?
She kind of looks around and says, look.
Oh, what? That was a cavard laugh if I've ever heard it.
You done it?
Ah.
I understand that.
Chlorosa.
We had to kill a couple, and he actually helped a lot.
Speak your mind. Convince her. Fix this.
Clarota at the top of the stairs, you can see like his tendrils in his mouth kind of curled back with a sneer. His hands kind of crossed before. Clarota just says, listen. I am not going to walk where I am not welcome. I will not wake up with this
Giving us a walk.
woman's blade in my back.
Fair enough.
We made a deal.
People with kids.
I walk between them and put.
I mean, okay. Putting all of my crackpot, lunatic, Charlie Day pointing at the board theories aside, this is a very good setup by Matt. Introducing two allies, one that you met along the way and has proven their usefulness and their help, and you now have some manner of trust with, versus this other ally who is an ally in name only. You are coming here to save her. She is supposed to be your ally, but clearly things have happened to her that, you could not have predicted and the people that hired you could not have predicted. She's an unknown. She's a wild card. You don't have any trust, even though she's supposed to be your ally. This is a fantastic setup to pit them against each other and make the party choose or come to some manner of compromise, even though it doesn't seem like there's going to be a compromise. So I think masterful character drama on Matt's part. Very, very good setup.
Unfortunately, are down one grog this evening, as I mentioned before. However,
I agree, all members of Critical Role. I agree to cry our eyes out.
I can also accompany.
Oh, Clarota can hear. That's cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Also kind of means that he's probably like passively spying on their thoughts, but what have you. Okay. So they tried to do this last session and Matt put the kibosh on it. He did not put the kibosh on it this time, and I really think he should have. The roll, you as a player, you do not make a roll and then decide whether you want to do the thing based on the result. Like that's just not allowed. Like it doesn't matter whether like whether or not it failed, like how it failed, like just listening to them talk about him. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Them listening to Clarota, yeah, probably. Yeah, man, like, I generally like Laura's play. I haven't disliked it a lot so far, but that, if I'm mad, I'm like, no, you said you were going. Like, I would not have had you roll if you weren't going. I don't know. That's sort of like inherently not D&D, but it's fine.
Can I go ahead and move up next to Percy?
Hello? I don't think they're our friends.
Why is that? That's...
Unfortunately, the space is a little limited for your size. You're gonna have to wait for the rest of them to let you by.
Oh well, can't like Grog's.
I'm feeling it already. Again, I don't know what it is. I honestly haven't been that annoyed by Orion. I've, like occasionally he doesn't pay enough attention, which is a little bit annoying, but like that of like trying to mold the situation after you see the like trying to retcon your decisions, and then when you are told that your decisions cannot be retconned, just being like, well, hello, and like doing something that you would have never done unless you knew the results of dice rolls, right? Tiberius would have never done that. Ooh, man. I'm getting a little annoyed. I don't actually know that I've been this like legitimately annoyed at any of the players yet.
Okay, I inch up to the closed door on the left and place my ear to the door and listen.
This is an interesting dungeon map so far. I will be really interested as, more pieces are taken away. This configuration right here, why is the forge just a block in the middle, like with like hallways surrounding it? Is that maybe I don't know enough about forges, but that just kind of rings weird, right? Like, okay, I talk all the time. Like, it's probably one of my most consistent talking points is about like map design, dungeon map, battle map, whatever. And I was just saying last time that I like on battle map, I like loops, because I think that they provide you with interesting options during combat. The thing is, a loop still has to feel natural. And like right now, if I'm one of these characters, I'm squinting at that room. I'm like, why is it separated? And this could be my own lack of historical knowledge. There might be like a literal reason that forges are like their own little thing like this, and I'm just not aware of it, but that doesn't strike me as like a realistic layout. That seems like a lot of wasted space on hallways. Like, I can see this exact configuration with this room up against that wall over there. And then you still have a loop, right? You still have these two doorways that form a loop right there, but this is like a loop within a loop. It's very weird, kind of disorienting.
So as you glance inside the room, you see what appears to be a great hall of some kind. There are large...
Okay. Not a bitch-ass throne room. This is still a little bit small for a great hall. This feels more like a meal room for a barracks. In fact, this entire place kind of feels like a barracks, if we're being real, except for the red carpets on the front, but you could have fooled me with the rest of it. I mean, I know that the bed sleeping arrangement is over there, but, we'll see. Wait, is that another circle? Are all of these rooms disconnected from each other? What's happening? Am I going insane? Why? Am I totally unaware of how medieval castles were laid out? I don't feel like I am. I feel like this is like, this is just like not it. I don't, I mean, look, it's all like, it's all subjective, right? Because if we're in a cave complex and you show me this, or like, like a hive, like a spider, cave hive complex, this design kind of fucking slaps. Like all of their little isolated broods that you can like go inside of, but they're all kind of separated from each other. Like, I'm down with that. It's just like odd for a keep.
I like walk by the door and see that happening.
I'm gonna get you okay.
Roll Constitution to summon a shit. Look, you never have a good Constitution check. I'll do that. Not my favorite skit. Oh, the uh-ohs, I remembered the bed. Dude, that's crazy. Look. Scanlan taking a shit on a random person's bed. I don't know why. For some reason, that is like dumb silly, and at least it's not creepy. Yeah, this is why I said I was really conflicted. When Sam was gone for episode 4, I was like, maybe this is for the best. And then he was gone, and I was like, oh, I kind of miss Scanlan. And then he came back, and I was like, did I? Did I miss Scanlan? I don't know. Everyone loves poop jokes. Poop jokes! Ooh. I have complicated feelings on poop jokes. It has to be... I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I laugh at them less than most people, but more than people that hate them. I'm in a gray area. Like that one I thought was like, silly funny. Whatever. But I don't know.
Count it.
Because it flew out of my hand, I didn't roll it.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Huh? Then hold on to your fucking dice, bro. What are you talking about? It flew out of your hand. I don't give a shit how it left your hand. It could have taken the fucking space shuttle out of your hand. Whatever it landed on is what you got. The only take backsies are if it goes off the table. Everyone knows that. That was crazy. I know all y'all are holding your tongue. I know all y'all are clenching your jaws, curling your fingers, wanting to tippy type in chat. That was crazy.
All right, gotcha. So one arrow sinks in the shoulder, but doesn't appear to be stopping his angry advance towards Tiberius.
Okay, this is actually something that caught my ear earlier that I just kept forgetting to look up on my other monitor. The cloak of Elvenkind does not give you advantage on all of your stealth checks. This is actually something that Vex and Vax both do, where they take like the type of check and just say that like it applies always. So like Vex has advantage on survival checks to track favored enemies. That segment's very important, but she's just like taken it and like put it in her favored terrain and said that like she always gets it, which is not what happens. The other thing is the Cloak of Elvenkind does not give you advantage on stealth checks carte blanche. It specifically gives you advantage on stealth checks to hide. Now, this actually does get into a bit of a rant, a bit of a problem that I have with 5e, and that I think that Pathfinder addresses really well. I think that 1D&D is starting to address it, which is the keywording in D&D. Keywords should be so much clearer. Like, it should be very obvious when you are saying the word hide, as in the mechanic, like the action to hide, versus just like the generic English word hide, right? And I think that that would really matter on this Cloak of Elvenkind, because the Cloak of Elvenkind, reads like this. Too zoomed. You have advantage on dexterity checks made to hide. My reading of that, my interpretation is that that is the action hiding. Now, let's imagine that 5e had much more robust keywording. Any actions are like capitalized and underlined so that you know what you're looking at. If that were the case, then this would not be, not be a thing. And if that was the case across all of 5e and we came and looked at this and it wasn't capitalized, so we knew it wasn't the keyword, the action, I would actually say that like Vax's interpretation of the cloak is maybe a bit generous, but not out of the question. But in this case, I am fairly positive it is referring to the specific action, and therefore he should not be able to move while using that advantage stealth. He should only be able to try and take the hide action, which then requires you to be still. Or at least not necessarily still, but it's not part of a movement stealth. So that is one thing I would say. Yeah, something that I noticed earlier. CR Wiki lists Cloak of Elvenkind 2 different instances as an item that gives you advantage on stealth checks. So this may be a consistent CR home ruling. Interesting. I mean, okay. It could be. Totally could be. It is, this is a critique then that I will give to it as a show. Like, as a show, it's the same, because, like, I am assuming that the CR Wiki is based off of what characters say in the show and what Matt allows. And I think it's probably similar to Lady Kima being able to wield heavy weapons, where, like, she just does it, and Matt never narrates her having disadvantage, so now it's lore, now it's enshrined. Whether or not they ever actually talked about it on the back end. Maybe they did talk about it on the back end. But I would say as a critique to the show and like to the stream, they should probably name it something different. Like the Cloak of Elves. But like calling it the Cloak of Elvenkind and then just having it not be that, I'm not a huge fan of. I will also say that that's something that I carry into my home games. If I'm going to take a magic item and change it somehow, I try to change the name. Because I don't want my player to get confused later and like try to look up their own magic item and it's different. That if I ever like homebrew something, I try to even change it to like something really similar, like Cloak of Elvenkind to the Cloak of Elves, something like that. Using the same name is confusing. Vox Machina started the stream with a bunch of very powerful magic items, often not well explained. Yeah, I've noticed that, which is like, it's okay. It's part of it, like, it's part of them starting from the middle of a campaign. I'm sure that obviously like C2 and C3 are way better about that, but it is what it is.
12 points of bludgeoning damage as the hammer comes cracking down, finding purchase on your torso, and it kind of pushes you back a few inches. Ouch. That's going to bruise tomorrow morning.
Can I do a combo?
That's dope. I'm glad. I mean, I know that like they have so much of their own stuff that they've made and used, and like obviously I fucking love homebrew. Like that's like one of the first like content that I ever made was like putting out homebrew. I'm all about it, especially if you want to take existing items and change it to feel better at your table. But yeah, clarity is important for that, or at least not using copywritten watk stuff. Fair enough. I mean, very fair. I think that there is a very large discussion to be made about, when you are in C3, you've kind of decided that this is going to be probably your primary thing at this point, and basing your livelihood and your career on someone else's IP is very dangerous, which we then saw with the IGL drama. So I think that that's a really good road for them to have gone down in C3, and I also think that them making their own TTRPG, Candelabra Obscura, I think they're actually following through on something that a lot of like really big D&D creators threatened, which was like to go away from D&D, and it seems like, I mean, Critical Role had the sense to actually do it. Probably because they're a business with a lot of people and probably some supporting staff that, like, one of them at one point, or they probably have lawyers, like at one point their lawyer was probably like, hey guys, like, it's probably not good to build this whole brand, to build 9+ probably like 20 people's livelihoods on something that Wizards could yank away at any second. Like, yeah, we're good so far. You're publishing your classes with them. They really like your subclasses. They're putting them on D&D Beyond. Everything's all copacetic for the moment, but it's still risky. And I think really the only other creator that's followed through on threats to leave D&D is like a little bit with the Dungeon Dudes, like very minorly. I think Pack Tactics had like one video about Pathfinder. And I think like WebDM is making their own TTRPG. So again, I think WebDM has much more staff, so I think that that's probably why they're more concerned about it. I think solo creators, not that they don't have like a good head on their shoulders for it, but they probably just don't take it as seriously as like a full-fledged company. My Ranger Druid character has a mute sister, but I would work with the DM to establish if the family sign language was an applicable extra language in game. Hell yeah. That's sick. That's very sick. Yeah, I mean, it definitely... I think if someone... I mean, sign language is literally what Thieves' Cant is. Thieves' Cant is a mixture of sign language and normal language and, like, code words. But I would render any manner of sign language to be a language that you can be proficient in. And in Xanathars, in examples of downtime, is training someone in a language, like training someone in a new language proficiency. At least I think. If it's not, I would allow it. So yeah, I would totally render sign language its own language. Yeah. But had my first DP in a while today, and God, the bubble gut. I'm drinking it slow. Cause I agree. Fucking it's the only thing nearby that I could get that I would like that would give me caffeine. Yeah, colored like non-clear sodas give me bleh. And I don't like Sprite, too much sugar. It's very, I still kind of feel queasy after it. Ugh. That's a very cool possibility, John. Signing, especially less common variant, is useful in so many situations. Yeah, totally. I used to be, fun fact, learning about Megaphone, man. I would not consider myself fluent anymore. But when I was in, I've said before that I'm originally from Kansas. And Kansas City has the second largest deaf population in the U.S., behind Washington, D.C. And so when I was there, my high school offered ASL, American Sign Language, as a language option. So it was like Spanish, German, and sign language. And I took sign language, and I worked at the Kansas School for the Deaf for a while. It was really sick. I loved sign language. I haven't used it in a really long time. It's very much one of those use it or lose it things. But I really want to relearn, because it's a very useful skill even for hearing people, if two hearing people know it. So yeah, it's very cool. I always thought Thieves' Cant was a mix between the hobo code and British slang. From my understanding, Thieves' Cant is also a collection of symbols. So it's like thieves' runes from Elder Scrolls. So Thieves' Cant is like basically everything, because it's also like body language. Like you could say the same thing in two different like postures and it means something different in Thieves' Cant. Thieves' Cant is very confusing. Yeah, cool factoid. Oh, you live in Kansas, Undead King? Very nice. Very cool. Kansas. I love where I grew up. Not gonna say specifics because I still have family that lives there. But yeah, no, Kansas is dope. Oh wow, I'm gonna start taking courses for ASL next semester. Dude, ASL is really dope. Honestly, I think that every hearing person could easily learn the sign language alphabet, like the finger spelling alphabet. And you can't communicate fast, but you can at least communicate with a deaf person. I remember my first semester taking sign language, I went to Walgreens to pick up my mom's prescription, and there was a deaf person at the counter, and they were not able to like communicate their prescription name, and they very slowly, and they were like both annoyed and glad that I was there. Because all I knew at that point was finger spelling and slow down. So they would try to sign to me and then try to finger spell, and I would just be like, please slow. I'm sorry. I'm learning. I think. But yeah, finger spelling just allows you to communicate, which is a huge step forward for interacting with deaf people. So it was, ASL's dope though. It's especially dope because you don't actually have to learn like a new like set of words, if that makes sense. You're just learning like physical representations, which in my brain, I've tried to learn other languages as well, and I just did much better with sign language because like the physical mapping of it really helped me learn it and practice it. But yeah, that's dope. I'm excited for you, Chewy.
If I do anything, I'm gonna make noise. That's why I hit.
It is a guest room of equal design and dressing as the one that Scanlan, you are unaware, is currently fouling.
I don't know you.
Indeed.
Maybe I get a sudden urge for some reason to just poo on the bed.
You can do what you want. Be aware.
Matt is just like this. I spent so much time on this dungeon, man. I spent so much time, and there's gonna be such a cool fight at the end of it, and you guys are just pooing in all the rooms, and I don't know what to do about this. I feel like I should punish you, but I don't even know how.
Well,
the darkness.
I'm pulling out my flame tongue dagger to try to get a little bit of light in here.
All right. However,
Yes.
you, as you're currently pulling out your flame tongue dagger, you feel a presence nearby, and with a little bit of embers around the fire, you see, out of nothing, a figure step into view. That apparently was not visible but a moment before. A tall, lithe figure with long limbs, fingers, and a wrapping of facial tentacles coming towards your face.
He's invisible.
Shit!
I see him. I'm gonna stab. I'm just gonna stab.
Before you get the chance to stab, you get a surprise attack from this guy.
Oh no! What if he sucks our
that
brains
guy.
out?
All right.
We're all gonna die.
That
I'm
comes
gonna
to
die.
an 18 versus armor class.
Yeah, got me.
All right. So, as you...
I didn't know that was a mind flare attack. Interesting. Also, pedantic, but I've explained it before. Surprise attacks, surprise rounds, not a thing. Everyone rolls initiative, and then people are surprised. It might matter in this case, because I have a feeling that this guy is going to attack Liam, and then potentially step out of his range, which, depending on initiative rolls, might actually give Liam an attack of opportunity, depending on if Liam's initiative was higher than the Mind Flayers. So, doesn't matter all that often. Normally it's just pedantic and whatever, but in this case, we'll see, it might.
Go back for your blade to pull it out. It grabs you by the shoulders and pulls you, and the tentacles wrap around your face and pull you into this horrible toothy maw, and you feel this tearing pain sensation as its teeth begin to dig into your face.
No!
I'm soon.
gonna die.
That hurts.
Not
You take 17 points of psychic damage as the actual presence of the tentacles pulling on your face. You can feel it's kind of grabbing your brain and trying to hold it in place, and you're currently considered correct.
Okay, John. I will try to map it out, because I know that this is the least understood, one of the least understood changes in 5e compared to older editions, especially. If you don't understand it after this, we'll just leave it. It's honestly not that big a deal most of the time. There are only like niche circumstance where it actually matters. So let's talk like 3.5 versus 5e, right? In 3.5, you have Mr. Illithid, right? He attacks you. And in this case, Mr. Illithid gets a whole round by himself. You do not get to go this round. And then next round, so this is like, up here is like pre-combat, down here is first round. First round, 0 round. And then, this is the, sorry, not 1. This is the surprise round. And then down here, Mr. Illithid and you both go during the real round 1. So that's surprise round. In 5e, the surprise condition works like this. There's before combat, before initiative, where Mr. Illithid attacks you. There is no surprise round. We go straight into round 1. And the thing about over here, the thing about the surprise round, doesn't matter what the initiatives are, right? Because there's the surprise. It's just like whoever's in the surprise round would need to determine initiative. So since the Illithid in this case is the only one in the surprise round, no need for initiative. In round 1, since you're both going, you need to determine initiative. So, I don't know, let's say he gets a fucking 3 and you get like a 17 because you're goated. You're a little rogue. So now we've determined initiative, right? In this case, in round 1, in round 1, we have Mr. Illithid and you. We go straight from the pre-round into round 1, and both of you roll initiative. So let's keep the same initiatives from over there, let's call you a 17, but also, uh-oh, you're surprised. Very bad, right? However, in this case, this is the big difference. Since you got the 17, you go first. And you get rid of surprise during your turn. You cannot do anything besides get rid of your surprise. So now, first turn, you have now gone. Your 17 is your 17 is passed. We go through the rest of the order. We're down to Illithid on the 3. Now, since you are no longer surprised, you took your turn getting rid of your surprise. If they walk up to you, attack you, and then walk away, you can use your reaction. That's the huge difference. That's the only difference, really, at the end of the day. In a surprise round, you're not even involved in the surprise round, right? The surprise round is just the Illithid doing whatever it wants. You can't react, you can't take an action, you can't move, none of that. In this one, with the surprise condition, everyone's in the same round, but while you're surprised, the only thing you can do on your turn is get rid of your surprise. And so if you do that before the enemy, you can now use your reaction. Now, if that still doesn't make sense, because it is confusing, don't worry about it. Just use surprise rounds. It's not that important. If we're being done.
Go, girl, go.
Go. No athletics check. He's going to go into a rage.
Yes.
No way at the door.
I would like to rage.
I will keep circuit AKL. This is gonna be okay. I was legitimately thinking about this. I was like, okay, what happens if I'm right? If I'm right, I can't tell anyone because clearly I must have watched ahead, right? Because no other way could I have just figured it out because I'm smart. But if I'm wrong, am I wrong? Have we seen Kima and Kavarn in the same room together? Or does Kima conveniently die before Kavarn's revealed? Huh? Oh no, Kima got her fucking sword back and she decided to go back to the exit, and then we had to escort Clarota back down and face off with Kavarn without Kima with us. Very interesting. Sounds a lot like Superman and Clark Kent, if you ask me. So we will see. And if it works in any way, shape, or fashion, it's becoming my new headcanon.
26.
26, all right. The door does not appear to be trapped.
Gonna be heading in that direction anyway. So.
Agreed. Same here.
Okay.
Would like to stealth through the door.
Wait, before I leave, I carefully examine that statue.
Okay. What do you examine it?
The facial features.
I will also say, so I do have one. I wouldn't even call it necessarily a small problem, but I'd just call it a problem. So I was talking about, all these fucking hallways, man. And there is an aspect of giving players too much, right? Because with how many hallways there are, we are basically... You can almost think of us as being in like a forest, right? Like there are like trees that like are like obstructing people's views, which are super cool. Like that is a fun battle map. If you're like fighting people in these hallways, ducking in and out of corners, whatever. But you can't go inside trees. And the really circular and kind of whatever nature of how you path through this can, I think, slightly kind of not ruin the pace, but can kind of interrupt the flow of like people feel like they're doing like this weird spreading out business where like no one really knows where to go because there's no real flow. Like it shouldn't be a straight line where you know exactly where to go, but this is maybe tending on the like the too open side. It'd be cool if the rooms were designed to be sealed and the halls could let lava flow through. Fuck yeah, that'd be cool. Oh man, that'd be such a sick trap. Oh, that'd be that'd be such a cool lair action for the king, especially given that like we know that there's like lava like flowing down along this you know, giant building. Having lava traps is, I mean, honestly, Sam, like that, I feel like that's kind of almost like step one. I can't believe I didn't think about it. Like, yeah, they should totally have lava traps. That'd be so sweet because it's essentially foreshadowed already. I mean, oh yeah, that'd be really sweet. And again, you know, that's when I talk about like making layouts and then meshing them into the world. Adding a lava trap really meshes this structure into the world and makes it feel like it belongs. Yeah, dope ass trap.
Do something.
Well, this is just a reactionary moment of you guys coughing and trying to get out of this
Can I
poisonous
quickly
fume.
cast protection from poison on Trinket?
You can, yes.
Okay, I do that.
Okay.
And that cures it.
That completely removes the poison.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yay, Trinket.
Well done. That's your action.
Yay, Trinket.
You now, as you're checking the door and you open it up, you hear all this commotion going off to the side now. Scanlan, you're over there as well, watching this, and more plumes of these.
Who has to deal with the hallways being 3 feet short? Does he shovel the cool lava rock out? Dude, oh man, what if... Again, what if this is a, I think you could narrate, runes. So, like, below this, like, burn line, this water line, there's the occasional rune carved into the stone. And anyone who makes, maybe a religion check, maybe Arcana, can tell that these runes are actually, like, heat runes. And so maybe the entire, like, all of the hallways are very slightly tilted so that the lava will flow. And the floors and walls are keeping it hot, keeping it burning while the lava's in it. Again, like, but John, that is what I'm talking about. That like thought process right there, John, of like, let's introduce something. Let's introduce one small thing, lava trap. And now it's like we have all of this environmental world building and foreshadowing for this single lava trap of like, okay, like, you know, there are burn marks at like weirdly regular intervals. There are all these sliding things. There are all these like grooves in the ground that you can't really figure out. There are sigils carved into the wall that maybe you can you know, figure out, but they look intensely powerful. Like, one decision has all of this Fallout world building of like, damn, like if that were the case, like how would that work? We have to make it work. And you making it work is the 3 clues. Like you're giving them the burn marks, the sigils, and the floor thingies. 3 clues towards what could be going on here. They know that there's something up now. It's a pattern. It can't be a coincidence. And you've now foreshadowed the entire dungeon so that when it starts happening, their brains like snap into focus. They're like, oh my god, that. And it's such a cool fucking moment. Every hallway's always at a slight angle. Exactly. This is what I love about this sort of dungeon design, about like environmental dungeon design, where like you can make a very generic layout that like is super basic. You can make what Matt had, and then you just look at it and you try to make it make sense. And the more you do that, the more you flush it out and it feels real. You just have to go through the effort of fleshing it out. But I find it intensely enjoyable. So it's not difficult for me. There are many other parts of DMing that are difficult for me.
And then, but they'll all be limited, so yeah.
It should be included with the price, guys. Don't worry. Yes. But yeah. So anyway, check that out. Thank you guys so much, and let's go ahead and get back to the game proper.
They're sold out?
They're now sold out.
T-shirts are sold out?
We didn't even finish telling you people.
No, they're not.
Let us finish our sentence first.
Okay, so the limited run.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Very limited. Damn, they were not used to how famous they were. That's crazy.
20 seconds.
I guess we'll have to order some more then.
Mental note.
Thanks,
That's
guys.
so small.
We didn't know. We didn't know.
You do like 500.
We were gauging interest. I
We
guess
were
there's
gauging
interest.
interest.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Now I almost feel guilty. Congratulations to the 100 people who got them.
Hold on.
In general,
Tiberius is gonna work some magic and then try to conjure
Oh my God,
a
you-
few more.
Maybe we'll
He
do
was
one
out of
more.
window.
Maybe we'll do one.
Of those.
No, they were coming in.
All right.
Okay, guys. All right. Well, we'll get.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
How much? We'll
Thank
get.
you guys so much.
We'll get more to you
Holy
very soon.
That's crazy. Yeah, they were very not used to how popular they were. That's wild.
If I can get Scanlan, what about you, Keyleth? Do I remember light, or do you bring it down from above? Tiberius.
What?
Do you have the power?
do you want me to shock him?
Oh, I have an idea. Okay, I'll peek around.
Oh, what the fuck was that?
Want me to shock him?
Oh, I have an idea. Okay,
Look at that stare. Did you hear the thump of the hand? Because I feel like Liam knows what's gonna happen. Orion is just gonna do something without letting Liam finish his planning. Leader-Lancer relationship, though.
I'll peek around.
Okay. Make a stealth check.
Oh, sweet.
Looking both.
But not saying that Matt is doing it wrong. That would more be for my own like benefit of like handling it and keeping everything straight. So if he can handle it, I think more power to him. Also, let's talk maps. Don't know what those are. Little raised platforms could be nice. I think columns, little raised dais with some chairs. I'd like to see in a throne room this small, I would like to see more furniture. Like, this is as sparsely decorated as if the room extended for another 200 feet, right? That's the vibe I'm getting off of this, is like columns all the way down with these raised pedestals for like maybe speakers or guards or lookouts, like all the way back so that it's this big, long approach, maybe with some like doors going off the sides all the way up. And you're ducking in and out of pillars, like, and maybe there's some chandeliers at the top, right? Like, that's the vibe of what this is giving me, but it's about an eighth the length it should be. like maybe that's a little harsh, maybe like a fifth. Because with this, I think this is a bit too small for my liking. Not necessarily too small. I actually don't mind the size, but it needs to be, if it's going to be this small, I'd rather have it have more stuff in it. But getting a little nitpicky there, it's just that there's not a lot of things to improvise with, right? There's just like the stone shit that like you can't really affect in any way, but it's not big enough to where you can introduce your own hazards, which is what happens when you really scale up maps. Like, small maps should have things that you can interact with in order to disrupt the environment. Large maps, like when you really scale them up, need to have a lot of hard cover and a lot of hard obstacles and features that you yourself can create different bits of terrain by connecting. So connecting different pillars with, I don't know, fog cloud, the wall spell that Tiberius has, like the pillars of the earth. Those sorts of things are very, very interesting on giant maps, but smaller maps are more about like interacting with the environment. So like a forest versus a study or like a laboratory, right? So I don't know. It's fine overall. Plus, if the whole keep could get hot enough, you could have a constant con saves to withstand the heat. X fails could start leading to penalties in the boss fight. Totally. I mean, that's a very I think that's a very reasonable that's a very, very reasonable lair action, I would say. I wouldn't say that like the entire environment should be constantly that. Like, your entire dungeon should not be like constantly challenging and constantly like oppressive. But having that be able to turn on that oppression with like a lair action, by saying like turn off the dampeners or like release the blah 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 and like flip a switch and then it gets hot. Love that. First message, D&D pop into chat, but was saying heat vents in front of doors could tie into the lava idea. Steam burns are much more scary. Totally. Yeah. I mean, I think that like the steam vents, I mean, we've kind of created a whole other dungeon at this point. But yeah, I think that for that dungeon where we have that consistent lava trap, you could do so much with like the steam and the heat and the burns. Like you could make the entire all of the traps in the dungeon could just be variations on that core idea. So instead of having like a lightning trap here or like this like door trap there, it's just varying like steam vents, hot areas, like furnaces, flames, like everything fits the theme of the Ember Horde. And if you want this room to be sparse, if you want it to be this small and be this sparse, just give me some more things I can do. Like, give me some things hanging from the ceiling. Give me some interesting things on the wall. Maybe even narrate some stuff out in the hall. Like, there's a couple of barrels and shit here, but maybe a reason that you might want to take this outside of the throne room. I don't know. Or the throne room is an 80s disco hall and they're all wearing bell bottoms. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
That brings us to the top of the round. Percy, you're up.
I'm going to hold off until... I'm actually going to delay my turn until post-pike.
Can I still, like...
Okay.
Can I still, like, yell out shit while this is happening?
He's loud.
I mean, you can yell out, like, one thing while other
I'm
things
loud
are
and I've got range, so I'm going to let the room fill, and then
Delaying your turn is a really common thing that I have allowed at my tables. I do want to make it clear. Delaying your turn is homebrew. That's not a thing. You can set up a reaction trigger as an action on your turn to say, if this thing happens, I will then do this. And like the thing that you will do can be like an action, like a normal action. But delaying your turn is not a thing. Because when that happens, that eats up your reaction, and you also can't do bonus action stuff. So I have allowed delaying my turn at the table, but the homebrew that I used, which I don't know if I would use again, it was interesting at the table that I used it at, was when you delayed your turn, it changed your initiative. So if you wanted to delay your turn, you could, and sometimes enemies would in as well, but it would lower you in the initiative order to like wherever you were delaying. So it was an interesting mechanic, but yeah.
So now, magma is pouring onto the throne room.
Fuck yes, Matt. Let's go. What's up, A-Tapper? Goddamn, he did it. After us talking about a lava trap for a fucking hour earlier, this man. I love it. It's not quite the way I would have done it, but it is. I am glad that he's doing it. It's very sick. You can see the look on the players' faces when he does this, of like changing the environment using the foreshadowed lava as an environmental changer. Look at how much they fucking love it. And this room, to give Matt credit, has 3 raised areas to make it to where if they want to, like, you know, if they don't know what to do, or if they want to wait in here, they can kind of raise up and maybe like wait out the lava, think about Dimension Door, something like that shit.
We lost Dog again!
A very familiar purplish color. As you've seen, you casted the Dimension Door out of the entire vicinity.
Son of a...
This is the second time we've lost.
At which point, the stone rocks crack on the column, and the magma now goes into full pour.
We gotta get out.
You guys have to get out of that tunnel. What do you do now? What's the process?
We run.
Wait, we gotta get our stone friends out too.
So this is going into a skill challenge now.
Okay.
Yeah, we all run out that.
No, we don't all run out. There's stone. We have to drag them out. Yeah. Who else stone is Tiberius and Kimo? Okay.
There they go. So I like where Matt's head is at, is like, okay, enemies are gone. We're out of initiative. This is now like a general, like, running away from an environmental hazard. Like, how do you do it? Are you like give me like a general group action. And if you want to take like, individuals, you get 1. And then we'll narrate that. I'll update the lava, and then we'll keep going from there at certain increments out of the place.
What if we use your hunter's mark, get there,
Figure out where she is,
get there, camp out nearby, tackle it in the morning?
Can I use my hunter's mark to find out where she is, and then we rest and go there?
Attempt that.
Because if we are really, really, really careful...
I would also say it is somewhat debatable how useful Hunter's Mark would be. It just says that you have advantage on perception or survival checks you make to find the creature. I have always interpreted that as like finding hidden creatures that are close by and like you're actively on their trail. But also, it's way sicker to have her be able to have like a fuzzy locator, like little radar in her head. So I'm into it. And honestly, if you use a higher spell slot, you can maintain the spell for up to 24 hours. So it would still make sense. I'm trying to think of how I would run that. I would probably make the call that they have to like find a trail, and then like once they find a trail, then it's very easy to follow and you get advantage on all those things, because the survival check to find it is just so general. But it would really depend. It would really depend on the specific situation. I think in this one, I'd be kind of fine with them just being like, okay, they probably know that like he's in the city. They can go towards the city, go to the area between the city and Emberhold and probably pick up the trail from there. And they would have advantage on survivals for that. That's interesting.
I'm kind of keeping an eye out for it.
48 plus 5 is what it would be.
I'm like,
okay.
Why do you keep putting your foot up near me? Can I kind of keep...
Okay. So I've obviously talked a lot about my DMing style, and I think I can sometimes come across as a little harsh to the players about like, not letting them rest, keeping the heat on, like I can be a little hard on the players. However, I would be very willing, because like to me this doesn't feel like this I don't know, something about like the way that Matt is handling this with Pike doesn't like quite sit right with me, of like it feels like she's about to just waste a spell slot. And he's like, oh, you'll just have to experiment with it. And like, he's not giving her like the opportunity to like roll a check to see if she would know. Like, I think this is a fine religion check, arcana check to like see like what type of magic would be able to heal this. Because when you do this, you have to come up with a way for it to be healed if you ever plan on it being healed. So it's either like, okay, like you have the power to do it. You only have the power to do it with like this spell slot level or above. Like, I don't know. Something about the like just experiment with it vibe doesn't quite sit right with me unless they're like a mega experienced player like Taliesin. But like Pike is super new. Or I shouldn't even say Pike. Ashley. Like Ashley is pretty new, and I would provide her with more guidance about like hit points versus something like greater restoration that heals debuff type effects. I don't know. Maybe he's just stalling because he hasn't quite decided in his own head yet, but I don't love this interaction. I very much think that he's not being as helpful as he should.
You would make for a great gift to their current standing demigod. If we
what would you know about that, Lady Kima? Why are you thinking about what would make a great gift to a certain demigod? Are you just thinking how your enemies think, or are you thinking how you would think?
Are you congratulating us for being murderers? Is that what you're doing right now?
Caliph, didn't you like kill a kid and push a dude under the lava? To Goodberry, create food and drink. They make a change to a couple of spells to make them work with that system. Because, I mean, let's be real. Goodberry is basically just a cheat code for survival situations. Like, it basically just takes the question of rations and just says ignore it. Spend a spell slot and just ignore rations. Which is not great if you're really trying to have a robust exploration pillar, where like running out of food or water is actually a potential concern. So they, in Weird Wastelands, they make modifications to those spells, but you do point out a point that like, if anyone in 5e doesn't know, like Goodberry is just a cheat code. If you want to like not think about rations, but your DM wants you to track them, just take Goodberry and you're good forever.
Meaning
what?
Solid stone that color or loose?
It's like sand.
Gravel and rock.
You find sand, and then the sand eventually gives way to like larger pieces of these
So it's like
rocks and stones. Some are jagged.
Ball pit and
Kind of, essentially.
I'm looking for signs of mining.
Okay, go ahead and make an investigation check.
I'll make an Arcana check also.
15.
Which would not
15.
Great.
Checking the walls immediately in your vicinity, you see there are...
Oh my god, I've never seen it happen so close together of good player behavior and bad player behavior. Holy shit. Just like rewatch this. I'm just gonna keep bragging on Taliesin, and unfortunately Orion's gonna be the punching bag right now.
Ball pit and
Kind of. An investigation check.
I'm looking for signs of mining.
Doesn't talk about a check. Doesn't talk about rolling. Barely even acknowledges that he's talking to the DM. Doesn't say like, Matt, can I do this? Or can I do this, DM? Which, by the way, I think are fine and acceptable and like still and still okay. But this just shows Taliesin's experience and expertise when it comes to just playing a TTRPG. He doesn't even say, can I look for signs of mining? He just looks at Matt. They lock eyes and he just says, I am doing this. And it is now up to Matt to like match that and be like, what check, give him a check to roll. Just tell him if he just does it. Like, that is such a perfect interaction. And then right afterwards.
Okay, go ahead and make an investigation check.
I'll make an Arcana check.
I'm gonna make an Arcana check. The fuck? Why? Matt didn't ask you to. What are you looking for? I as the DM, I have no idea how to handle that roll because you didn't even tell me what the roll meant. Like, are you examining the pebbles? Are you like looking for like an aura in the air? Are you wondering if this is like the remnants of some magical phenomena? Like, what are you even doing? And he is rolling and getting the result before he even tells Matt what the roll was meant to do. Which is just so ass backwards from how D&D is designed. There are games that are designed that way, by the way. Like, that is the way that Blades in the Dark is designed. It took me a while when learning Blades in the Dark to get used to that, and I'm still not used to it yet because I haven't played as much as I would like to. I really want to play more. But, like, in Blades in the Dark, it explicitly calls out that the player chooses when they roll a check, basically. D&D is the exact opposite. And, like, you need to keep that in mind because it is how D&D is designed. Blades in the Dark has mechanics that build off of the fact that it's the player choosing. There are other things that the DM does. 5e doesn't have that. The DM needs to choose what kind of check you're making. And he needs to know what you're doing before you know the result of the die roll. I mean, it's just insane to see it so blatantly juxtaposed against each other of like fantastic check interaction, skill check interaction, terrible. You're starting to understand the Orion experience. I am. And that's why I keep saying it's like, unfortunately, because like I don't want my bagging on him to seem like I'm doing it because I know I have like meta knowledge, but like just legitimately, I'm like, that's not the way you play 5e. And like, there's a lot of things they do where I'm like, oh, they're beginners, it's fine. And even this behavior to some degree. But like, I'm still gonna very much call it out of like, that is like very, there's some amount of like, oh, can I roll an Arcana check? And then you and the DM, I still don't like that, but you and the DM can at least have a dialogue about like what that Arcana check means. They can clarify that before you roll. They can ask you to roll something else. Like, I still don't think that's my preferred way, but it's at least okay. This is like actively bad and like doesn't even put the DM in a box. It like fully circumvents the DM, which is just top 5 favorite cantrips. Go! Prestidigitation, Mage Hand. I have a love-hate relationship with Druidcraft. Blah, 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 blah. Eldritch Blast is I have to. Oh, and Mold Earth. Actually, I'm gonna take out Eldritch Blast and replace it with Shape Water. So, Mage Hand, Mold Earth, Shape Water, Prestidigitation, Druidcraft. I would say. Mold Earth, I can't believe I forgot Mold Earth. It's by far my favorite. I think Mold Earth is so much fun. And then Prestidigitation and Druidcraft are classics. I have a love-hate with Druidcraft because Druidcraft can allow the player to predict the weather, which means that as a DM, I have to think about what the weather is. And it's not the default, just nice and sunny. So, but I think the Druidcraft is cool overall. Mage Hand is like one of the most flexible spells, very similar to Minor Illusion in terms of like with creative it's very similar to like Prestidigitation as well. With like creative application, it can go so far. And then yeah, Shape Water is just Mold Earth, but slightly lower. But I do like Shape Water as well. Prestidigitation, Mage Hand, Message, Mending, Control Fire for me. I have a look. I don't know how I feel about Message. Like, I like it in general, in concept, but I feel like Message for me can never really be like in my top 5 anymore after they added Telepathic as a feat. I think before they added Telepathic, Message was definitely up there. But now that Telepathic is a feat, I feel like if I want that sort of power, Telepathic is just a great way to get it and have it easier. But to each their own. Mending is underappreciated, I'll say that. And Control Fire is very, very good, especially if you have a fucking pyro wizard casting Fireball all the time. Control Fire is a very flexible spell. I just like all of the elemental cantrips, honestly. Gust is also like probably in my top 10. The elemental cantrips are very cool. Yeah, Telepathic and Telekinetic are both really stellar feats. That, you know, I think that feats in general have a difficult relationship with spellcasting. And there's some amount of, I might call it power creep, when it comes to 5e feats. But also, it's really hard to say that there's power creep when, like, you know, Polearm Master was in the original handbook. So, what is power creep really? Love me some Minor Illusions, especially for sounds, dude. It's really hard. Like basically everything you guys have said is in top 10 except for Message with the Telepathic thing. But yeah, Minor Illusions is so much fun. Really scales in power with your creativity, which I think are the best kind of cantrips.
Hop on.
Okay. Again, rules lawyer Jack here. Stone shape only affects an area that's no more than 5 feet in every dimension. So unless they're piggybacking all the way up, you're going to have to pop at least 2 or 3 stone shapes. I mean, whatever. It's not the most egregious thing, but it definitely is not within the capabilities of the spell to make a giant disc they can all stand on.
Something.
I motion over. I motion over to Pike, and I take her medallion slowly off of her and go like, bring out my mending wheel.
Your mending wheel, which was where?
Who's
the bag of
holding?
No, I held that.
The mending wheel's this big. You haven't been carrying it with you this entire time.
I thought it was like this big.
Okay, even so, Orion, you're a fucking sorcerer. Come on. That's an alignment thing. Back to when they really cared about that. What's an alignment thing? The bad vibes? I don't know what you're talking about, John. Oh no, I've already forgotten the words that came out of my mouth. Is it like her symbol is like an alignment thing? Like if the symbol cracks, it's because like her alignment's all fucked up? Oh, I see. Interesting. I mean, look, I think that you can still play around with like people doing things out of character or like away from their general moral compass. Neutral versus chaotic versus good versus evil. I see. Okay. The split and pike symbol. Gotcha. Okay. I'm on the same page now. I mean, I'm still super down with them playing with that concept. I just think that the actual model of, chaotic evil, I think is a bad model for describing this morality phenomena. But that's very interesting. I love clerics and warlocks and paladins being held accountable for the shit that they do because their power is not their own. So I'm loving that.
23.
23 does it?
Yes. Okay, so then we do...
So 46 points of radiant damage to it.
It's also blind.
Yes.
46.
It's also blind. Don't forget.
15. And I'm gonna
I play a debuffer right now in the campaign that I'm playing in, and it is so hard to not constantly remind the DM of like, oh yeah, but they actually get minus 1d4 because of Mind Sliver, and actually because of like Tasha's Mind Whip, they can only take like reaction, or action, bonus action, movement. Only one of the three. They're actually reduced, so they do 1d4 less damage on that. They're hexed, so like disadvantage on that. It's so hard to not be annoying about it.
my...
You can see like a couple of fingers poking out of each side.
Should we take the body?
Do we see any?
I'll further inspect.
Ligature? Like, is there sewing? Has it been stitched together?
The tentacles were stitched to it, and you...
He just loves rolling dice, man. Of like, I'll further inspect it. It's like, okay, what is that? Number one, what does that more specifically mean? But even if you don't want to get specific about it, the DM needs to tell you like what your inspection check is. Is it insight? Is it perception? Is it medicine? Is it like what? And you cannot roll before that. I mean,
hello and welcome back. So, before we start, a couple quick announcements and things we want to get out to you guys. One, unfortunately, Ashley cannot be here tonight. So we're missing Pike, sadly. I'll be controlling her as the terrible AI for the...
Honestly, shocked that she was here for so long. Based on what I heard, I thought Ashley Johnson was going to be in it for like 4 episodes. I thought she was just going to be constantly gone. So congrats on her for actually having such a streak.
Evening. Apologies.
Something that I love doing in all of my campaigns, and that I encourage my players to do, is I create a playbook. So I create like, of like really common either ability combos or strategies, because those are one of my favorite fucking like tropes and shticks from like heist movies or like criminal movies, is like, oh, like let's do a Cairo. No, we can't do a Cairo. The security's too tight. All right, well then let's do a Paris croissant. Like I love those. I think that's a really fun thing. And so I will often like write down sort of like these types of plays. My favorite one in my campaign right now is Large and Larger, where the sorcerer twin casts Enlarge Reduce, and the Rune Knight grows in size. So you just have two fucking large boys ready to bully anything that comes by. But when it comes to like really good improv, serious character work, Scanlan hits it on the head in terms of intimidation pretty fucking consistently. Which is contrasted against him pooping on the barracks beds. You know what I'm saying?
It's more lighting. It's about 5 or 6 inches off the ground.
Shoot
Percy, you're up.
Shoot him, Percy.
Okay, I'm going to take a step towards. Is that who's buggering Scanlan over there? Who's
Durgar.
It's a Durgar. I'm just going to take a one. I'm going to.
Also, okay, this is a rules lawyer thing that I've never even brought up because I kind of assumed that he's homebrewing this on purpose, because it's so lame otherwise. But just for completeness' sake, Mind Flayers can't fly. They have at will levitation, so they have levitate at will. But you can't you don't have any locomotion while you're in levitate. You cannot force yourself in any of the X accesses. You have to push off things like you're in fucking the International Space Station. So it's one of those things where it's I've just kind of assumed that Matt read that and was that's dumb. 'Cause it is sort of silly. And was just nah, they can just levitate normal levitation where they just go. But if you guys are, trying to make a fucking Mind Flayer build and want to do it raw, levitate, you have to push off of something. People have to pull you along, whatever.
At which point she kind of shakes for a second. Her shoulders shift and you can clutch her in your arms. As you do, you...
Okay. Kavarn runs a hive of Mind Flayers. Also, Kavarn, no mind sucking. Yeah, because it's a distraction technique. Have you never played a social deduction game? Of course, if you're the fascists in Secret Hitler, you're going to be guys, don't shoot the liberals. What? How did this fascist policy get enacted? Come on, Richard, think for a second. Come on. Now, if this chick's eyes go black and she fucking gets, blood starts running out of her nose and she dies right there, and then we immediately cut to Lady Kima reacting, if he goes straight into dialogue with Lady Kima, that's going to be the most suspicious shit I've ever seen.
You see the blackness now has that same kind of green glow that the...
Because it's big, all right, don't look anymore at that. Oh, let's move on. If they're add 10 GP as you go towards this fucking eldritch temple with an ancient eldritch artifact strapped to the head of this supervillain. Yeah, take 10 GP. The horn is actually a megaphone. Dun, dun, dun.
Armored Duragar, the Emberhold make.
Vaxildan is going to go pick at the charred remains of the Illithid.
I'm going into the tent to look.
I want to check out the queen.
Okay. You go and check out the charred remains. They are charred. They are remains. There is what looks to be about 86 gold in the body, but most anything of use has been charred or destroyed.
Who cares? I tried to push the mic away so that it wasn't too loud. I'm sorry if it was too loud. I don't like ear raping even as a joke, but holy fuck, dude. This quest is for 20k. Who cares? 100 gold would be 0.1% of what they are doing this quest for. Insane. They are not going to be trading with the Mind Flayers at Yog-Sothoth. They do not need gold right now. Just say it's a charred body and move the fuck on.
Hey everyone, buy a t-shirt.
That was messed up.
Subscribe to Geek and Sundry. Support Felicia Day.
As you finish your statement as well, Keyleth, Clarota steps up and says,
I'm also very interested in what this could possibly be, that it could be a secret. I was under the full impression that this was just... I just assumed that this was all, like, character acting, that there were no secrets. And I've said it before. I don't know if I've actually said it on stream or not. I know I've said it in a video and some shorts. I am really not a fan. And, like, this is, like, a pretty hard stance that I have that I think is slightly controversial. I'm really not a fan of secrets from other players. I am super down, more than down, for secrets from characters. Like, a character is keeping a secret from another. So down with that. All good. I'm not a fan of players keeping secrets from other players and, like, the DM facilitating that. I think I've only ever seen it have marginal benefits. I sort of view it like I view the fucking on-stream chat. I've seen it have very marginal benefits and huge downsides. I've seen it ruin games for people. Like, it's I don't know. It's not something I would be easily convinced away from. He always whispers when they make an insight check, even if they don't get anything. I get it. I really think that that's bad practice. Like, at which I know that this is like a personal preference thing that I'm like taking like my own anecdotal experience, what I've seen, but I have never seen this not result. The only benefit here is shock value. It is just shock and surprise, which in general, to be fair, I don't really like surprises in real life. Not a huge fan. But in general, in campaigns, I've only ever seen secrets cause like actual issues at the table or be neutral. I sort of talked about this when I talked about like player plans, like when you're like planning something in combat and you're like being coy with the DM, like, oh, how many feet away are they? Oh, like, do you think that maybe this blah, blah, blah? No, just tell me what spell you're casting. I know you want it to be this big dramatic reveal. Make dramatic reveals happen in character. We're telling a story. We are collaborating on it. I cannot collaborate with you if you do not tell me what's going on. Like, that could be the big reveal right there. You could, if there was any information, you could just do the dramatic reveal right there. And then you have this fun surprise moment, and then you have a secondary fun moment in character later when the characters learn about it. Really, you're just spreading out the fun if you don't keep the secret. But if you do keep the secret, you're concentrating it and potentially even like making bad things happen, people feel left out, or people making decisions that they don't like.
Your tinkering bonuses, which should be your dex.
My dex modifier, thanks.
Tinkering, what's the Irish name?
Boy, that's Pathfinder shit.
Thank God. 13.
Okay, 13 total?
Yeah, 13 total.
Okay. You take a while with it. It takes a little longer than anticipated, but you have your general tools with you. You hammer away. About an hour and a half to 2 hours later, you're sweating, your muscles are sore, but you...
I'm sorry, they're just hanging out in front of young Varil with all the city of the Mind Flayers, the city that Kavarn is in. When I say, okay, this is probably my lasting critique of Matt during this arc, is holy shit, this is like a vacation spot. This is not a dangerous cavern. This is not a world-ending threat. A world-ending threat should have radiating energies and harms and obstacles. You should have to provide me a reason that you could just chill out for an hour and a half after having very conspicuously dragged 2 giant boats out of the sea. What is going on? If we built a large wooden badger, yeah, fucking Trojan horse him. Oh, what's up, Natalia? Oh my gosh, Natalia from the comments. What's up? Glad to see you. I'm glad that you caught me live as well. Welcome. You'll finally be in a VOD. Let's go. I don't even know what's going on right now. You came at a weird point. They are doing a bunch of useless shit, and Matt, I don't even need Matt to punish them. I don't believe in like randomly punishing your PCs. But keep the heat on. This should feel dangerous. They're outside of the raid boss's lair. I mean, come on. I agree with you, Scott. My problem is Matt has described things as cities and keeps that definitely aren't. And so I have a general skepticism of his word choice when it comes to that. Like, I see these dots, right? If each of these dots is an individual building. Oh, I wish I could zoom in almost. You know what? We're gonna do a little bit of we're gonna do a little bit of investigation here. Because I am similarly curious about this. Oh, wait, can I not zoom in on this? Fuck. Oh, wait, zoom. All right, that did not help nearly as much as I thought it would. But, okay. This is the temple. So we can keep this in mind when we eventually figure out the, like, actual layout of the temple later and, like, how big it is. But if that is the temple, each of these looks like a building. So each of these blocks is like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 maybe by 3? So maybe like 18 buildings in like a block that sized. I mean, this grouping overall, easily less than 1,000 buildings. Like, I'm way overestimating. Hell, let's call it 2,000, just to be super safe. A place with less than 2,000 buildings is not a city. We're talking about a town, like pretty generously. Depending on these buildings' functions and purpose, this could be a large village. So when it comes to that, I generally, now those blobs, they could be multiple buildings, you know, just kind of blob together. Surprise, Kavarn is in the cave. Bummer that you're not prepared. Yeah, it's just not. I know that Kavarn told you to go to the temple, but if you had gone to the temple, it would have actually been fine. I knew that you were gonna fuck off into the cave, so I planted Kavarn there. We need that hierarchy thing you talked about. Exactly. Yeah. That's kind of what I mean, because it's exactly what you're talking about when he uses the word city. When you imagine a city in your brain, and then he shows you this, and he says, that's the city. Woo! This scale just blows the fuck up. Like, this goes into massive scale if that's the city. And we still have this, like, giant, like, wilderness area around it. If that's a town, suddenly this becomes a little bit more manageable. So this is why I use the settlement hierarchy, legitimately. Because you can really get a problem of scale in your players' heads if you describe the city around Emberhold, and then you narrate like 10 dudes coming out of it when the defending keep, which is not really a keep, it's more the size of like a villa, you know, is now encased in lava. Like, those scales don't mesh with the words that you're using. So yes.
If you're at home and you're afraid to tell your gaming group that you're a snacker, I've got your back, okay? Because it's okay to fucking snack, all right? When you're out there, let some of us sweat from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep. Some of our bodies are betraying us constantly.
What does that have to do with food?
Would I have chosen this paper white, fur-covered, constantly sweating body?
What where's
No,
the snacks
I wouldn't
coming
have.
in?
Does it require constant almonds? Yes. Almonds all the time. Okay? And I'm not going to apologize because these two fucking elevated beings, these two hovering, what's the, what are the pre-Skexy, pre-mystic light beings from the Dark Crystal? Oh, God. You two, some of us are pod people, okay? I'm a little podling, and I need to snack. If I could have another mouth in my back, so that I could, the biggest obstacle in my GMing, all right, is that the same place I talk from is where the food needs to go.
We know what to get him for Christmas.
That's what I was just
in my bag. So that I can have a friend shoveling salami into an open furnace in my torso.
Maybe that's why you're
while
sweating
I'm
so much. Is you're constantly chewing and
I
consuming.
love to snack. To answer your question, almonds.
If you are constantly and forever digesting almonds, maybe that's why you're so sweaty, dude. Oh my god. I've never even heard of someone that likes almonds. To me, almonds are like an ingredient in baking. Who just eats an almond? Like a peanut, a pistachio, maybe. Do they even sell like a bag, like a snack bag of almonds? It's like a trail mix ingredient. You do not just eat an almond. Honestly, salami is the more reasonable of the two snacks that he chose. Brother, am I the crazy one here? I've never eaten a straight almond in my entire life. Blue Diamond, almonds over peanuts. I'll die on that hill. What's going on? Are you guys? Is this like another like Kima isn't actually Kavard? Are you guys gaslighting me? Do people eat almonds just like as a fucking food? It's like I picture almonds as like a fancy like rich person baked good, like topping on like a fucking scone. I walk into like a fucking bakery in Paris and they have a croissant with almonds on top. Paige is throwing almonds at me. Are these almonds? Yeah. Why do we have them? To eat them. What? Hand me that. How long has this been on our counter? Since we moved in here? I have a Tupperware of almonds that has apparently been sitting on our counter. And Paige was just throwing them at me. Do you eat these? Oh, she did this. They're for aesthetics. They're for faking. They're for making people think we're rich. Toppings? See? You don't just eat them. They're like a topping thing. Oh, she's giving me very non-committal answers. I don't know what's going on. Oh, yeah, she wants you guys to like her. Oh my gosh. Don't you dare say Electrum in this fucking chat. Literally the worst thing that Wizards of the Coast has ever done. I will go to court. I will testify about that shit. Electrum is the biggest piece of horseshit design I have ever seen in a video game. In a TTRPG, in a game, in my entire life. What a useless fucking currency denomination, and I will go to my goddamn grave on that shit. I know most campaigns don't even use copper or silver, but no, let's throw in one that has a weird conversion rate. Fuck you, dude. No way. Bro, who the fuck uses Electrum exactly, Inspire Red? It's insane.
It looks enchanted, but the way its mixture is, you can see the colors seem to swirl and shift in a very caustic way. You can see from glancing at the glass vial that's contained in the interior of the glass, looks slightly pockmarked, almost like the viscous fluid within has actually damaged.
Oh my god! Oh. Everyone, predict right now whether I like this or hate it. Cause you can pause if you want. Cause I love it. That's great. That is great. Great. That's a fantastic way to narratively foreshadow. I don't know what this does. I don't know what it is, but it's something dangerous. Do that with everything. This is exactly what I was talking about with the saving throws and with like being behind the screen with the trap conversation. Like, this is grade A example of how to narratively tell your players something, keep them in the scene, keep them in character, and not have them like distracted reading a stat block. Chef's kiss. They don't even need to know what the potion does. That's the crazy part of this. They do not need to know what it does, but they can still feel confident throwing it at an enemy. And that is honestly more exciting. For them to have no idea what this potion does. They just know it's something bad. And they just toss it at an enemy and they see what happens. That's so much fun. I'm not saying you have to do that with everything. There's no way to foreshadow every part of every mechanic in your campaign. But when you have the opportunity on stuff like this is a fantastic example of how to do it. I was about to say that I like that description of taking damage, because I think something that a lot of DMs, I don't get it either. Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not alone. I think that something that a lot of DMs, especially newer ones, struggle with is the concept that he was killed by a giant ray. I see. That makes more sense. Got it. Okay. It is the fact that like taking damage and losing hit points is not like actively getting like, cut a lot of the time. And I think a lot of like DMs will like narrate like, oh, you get stabbed, you get cut, it's a gash in the side of your ribs. And then, like, if you kind of think about it too hard and you're like, how is a long rest, like, healing all that shit up? Like, I don't know. And you have to think about it that they are hit points, not health points. And that in general, in 5e, hit points are a substitution for both your health and your overall, like, stamina. So when you are... In the same way that AC as an armor class also incorporates like dodging, right? So stamina is also like how HP is also like how tired you're getting, how weak you feel. So Matt narrating like your armor takes most of the damage, but you still feel the impact through your armor. I really like that sort of narration for taking damage, especially for like the first half of your HP. Normally, I try to make it like the first half of the HP is you're feeling tired, lethargic. You only like barely missed the cut, but you like tweak your ankle. You get a fucking hit in the chest and the wind gets knocked out of you. Like all of these things are representations of taking HP damage to me. And it's only when you go like below half that I start to narrate like taking cuts, taking bruises. And most of the time I don't narrate things like deep gashes or profuse bleeding until you actually go down to 0. Because, again, I want to narrate something like serious, but something that it is reasonable for you to kind of randomly stabilize from. You know what I'm saying? So I liked the way that Matt did that.
All right, how do you want to do this?
I'm just going to, I saw where Tiberius pulled the eye out, and that's what I'm aiming at, is his eye socket. So I flip it up in the air, and when I catch it, I immediately let go and fill in the blank.
Okay.
Sock it to me.
So, as the creature's flailing about in torturous pain, suddenly the dagger slinks into the empty socket in the front of its face. As it does, its body tenses up and kind of reaches out against the force of your arcane hand. You actually have to kind of like focus to keep it in place with its final death throes. All this tension. And then falls limp within your grasp. You now have this limp creature at your disposal.
I'm going to bring him to the boat.
Nice. I will. Speaking of things that Matt does or doesn't do, that Critical Role does or doesn't do, that may or may not fit at every table. I love how do you do this, or how do you want to do this, and it's something that I have carried into most of my games, if not all of them. I think it is a way to encourage, because it feels taxing as a DM, as a PC, to describe each and every hit. Sometimes you're feeling the role play that night and it all just flows, and you can think of unique shit for every single hit. Other times you can't. But how do you want to do this is a moment where you are given a really nice opportunity to be fun and I don't know, just kind of crazy with it, where because it is dying, because you're killing it, you can kind of be a little bit ludicrous with the description in a way that you can't be when it has to continue going. If you lightning bolt it and it doesn't die, you can't talk about it the fucking lightning, electrocuting it and you seeing its skeleton or what the fuck ever. Because it would feel weird that it kept fighting after that. But the how do you want to do this gives the players basically carte blanche, total free reign to kind of describe whatever they want in the best way. So yeah, I like how do you want to do this. I kind of said before, the skinning is one of those things where it almost feels weird to restrict because of how rare it is. But maybe that's just what it needs to be. Is it's you can only skin over the course of a short rest. Maybe. I don't know. Remember this thought and keep an eye out for how Matt handles it once they're out of this mega dungeon. I have a feeling that I am going to have a lot more probably positive opinions about Matt's DMing. I already think Matt's a good DM. That's been my takeaway on 2 episodes. It's wow, Matt's actually pretty good. But I have the distinct feeling that once they get out of the Underdark, I'm going to get an increasingly favorable view of Matt's DMing style.
Okay. So, Pug, as you step up to the mouth of the cave, you kind of looking where the torchlight is, you go ahead and cast Dispel Magic. As you formulate your divine energy, grasping onto your symbol of Sarenrae around your neck, you see this kind of strange pulsing shimmer of divine energy that clears out the area. The purplish hue to the light vanishes, and the light becomes a natural torchlight for a moment, and all the whiffs of smoke vanish. And slowly filter back into the space.
We don't need to go in there.
Indeed.
Love it. Oh, they're learning things. They're getting through the mystery. Matt is teaching them things about the puzzle when they use their resources, even if it doesn't solve the puzzle.
All right, go ahead. Both of you guys go ahead. Wait, no, you go ahead and roll your counterspell roll. So roll.
Counterspell just fizzles his shit.
Oh, what level was your spell?
It's a level 3 spell.
So yeah, no, your spell just.
Yeah.
Damn it! and I don't silence it. Did I have to roll anything to do that?
No.
Oh, cool.
He has to make a save to silence.
Oh, Counterspell, the fun and engaging spell. I had someone ask me, and I promise this is not a talk shit moment, but in one of the previous VODs, I mentioned that none of my characters have ever taken Counterspell. None of the players I've ever DM'd have ever taken Counterspell, even though it is an objectively good and very powerful spell option. I don't like the moments it creates. I don't think that was fun. And this is something where I am fully open to different tables, different types of funds, different styles. I think that this is fully deeply entrenched within my opinion, and this is not general advice at all. But someone was how have you never taken Counterspell? and they said, wait until you get further in. I assume to Critical Role. It won't change my opinion. I think I've never seen Counterspell where I was like, wow, engaging spell. It leans more into like the chess game type of play, which is totally fine. And like that's what like a lot of tables like, especially for combat. Like combat is a puzzle. That's how I generally think about it. And people like different types of puzzles. And so if you and your table really like to think about combat as like this chess type of war game puzzle, Counterspell is a great tool in your arsenal. It's just not an engaging one in mine, for me personally.
Play myself again.
Okay.
And that's well. I'm gonna wait. What happens?
Okay.
Let's find
The
out.
bomb hits the wall, hits the ground, tumbles for a second, kind of awkwardly slumps over on itself. At which point, in a blur of motion, this strange hissing sound, a bunch of momentum hits the room, and you see all these creatures begin attacking.
As soon as I hear that noise, fireball.
Okay, you aim down, release the point. So, the fireball impacts the far end of the wall where the cluster of these strange worm creatures are. It explodes with a loud, blasting, echoing explosion sound.
I'm doing this.
Hold your ears. Go ahead and roll damage on that.
I take my shield and put it in front of a couple people, maybe.
Also, just to beat a dead horse, he took the verbal time to say that he's going to turn invisible when he knew that he was going to be casting a spell which would break his invisibility. And he interrupted Matt's, like, explanation of the scene and of the fiction to be like, I'm going to turn invisible, uselessly, I might add. Now what happens? It's like, I don't know, man. Maybe if you would have shut your hole, you would know what happens.
Any way that you could absorb this sound?
The sound, yeah. Can we cast silence? And...
Too late. He's casting like 7 spells right now. So
It's not even a bad plan. It's not a bad plan. I think it's a ring of greater invis. Oh, is he using it improperly too? John, that's a good idea. I could just make it an on-screen element. Kind of like I was doing, I've been doing with like the noses for like, whenever Matt like actually says something that I like. Yeah, I just start making tally marks in like a corner element up here or something. It's a good idea. I legitimately will probably start doing that. And I love that you asked it. So I don't think it's Clarota, because that would be weird. Because Clarota has been presented as... I don't know. Clarota has been, like, so suspiciously portrayed of, like, yeah, he's our ally for now. So that it would almost be, like, weird if he was the villain reveal, because, like, we've been suspicious of him, Like, it's not, like, as natural of a twist. Yeah, Kima's my big one. I also think it could be potentially Allura, and Kima has been keeping the fact that it's Allura from them, and that's, like, part of the Vision Quest bullshit. And maybe Allura hired that. I don't know. I don't know about that one. That one just like feels right to me. I don't have like solid basis for that of like why it's Allura, but it feels right. I don't know why she would have hired them to go. Maybe she just wanted to kill him. I don't know. Beyond that, we don't know a ton of other people, honestly. There's like the dude from the Magic House. Be kind of random if it was him, honestly. I don't think it's like the merchant dwarf that like runs the mines from the city. But the thing is, and that's also the thing, is that the episode around 222 starts the process of the thing is it's called Kavarn Revealed. Like there's a situation that I thought was like, in the back of my mind, I knew they were crackpot theories, and my assumption was that it would just be a big bad that we had never met before. But the fact that the episode is called Kavard Revealed makes me feel like I'm right about it being Kima. Or like someone we know. And the only people that we know that's not like a party member. It would be insane if it was a party member. If they're like, fucking take the mask off, it's Scanlan. Scanlan's Kavard. My mind will be legitimately blown. And if Keyleth is Kavard, and that's what the whisper about, and fucking Liam Vax has known this whole time, I'm changing my whole tune on whispers. That's insane. At least as like from an audience perspective. But I don't know. Maybe it's Pike? Could be Pike. But okay, this is a little bit of meta knowledge, but I feel like I've seen a lot of like Pike and Grog best friends forever. And I've gotten a little bit of that, but I haven't gotten enough to where I feel like those memes would have gotten made, especially if she was Kavarn. Grog's Kavarn. But so that's the thing, is it's like, who would it be that it would be interesting for it to be a reveal? And the names on my list are like, he hasn't guessed Orion. I know that the Orion drama doesn't happen until 34, so it can't be him. But it's like Clarota. They killed the king and queen. So it's like Clarota, Kima, and like maybe like I don't know. I don't know. And maybe Allura. I think Kima is my top contender though. Or maybe Allura and Kima are working together. And maybe they need like a blood sacrifice. They need like a power sacrifice. Trinkets Kavard? What a reveal that shit would be. Okay. I'm putting together like a full theory based on everything that I've seen. Which is that Kima goes on her vision quest. Her vision quest is fake as fuck. She is looking for the horn of, not Osiris, of Orcus. She's looking for the horn of Orcus to become a big bad evil guy. And Allura and Kima definitely work together. And so Kima's on that track. Allura is on the same wavelength. Like, they're friends. Allura is like taking like the political route towards like gaining power, and Kima's out there adventuring, finding artifacts, looking for this horn of Orcus, right? And so then Kima gets down into this shit and is like, I found one of the horns. Like, hey, calls up Allura on the cell phone. And is like, yo, what up, A-Dog? I found one of the horns for me. But I know where the other horn is. Again, like calling her up. I know where the other horn is. And I can get it, but I need a blood sacrifice. It's hidden behind fucking the 1,000-year door. It's hidden behind Paper Mario and the 1,000-year door. And I need like a soul power sacrifice in order to get the door open. You need to hire a bunch of powerful mercs, get them down into the temple. It's a temple ritual sacrifice. You need to get them down to the temple. I'll meet them halfway. I'll make sure that they come down, because every single time it was like, oh, let's leave, Kima's like, nah, fam, let's not leave. So Kima's part in the plan is, yeah, like I'll force them down there. I'll get them down there. And then at the temple, either, or maybe like Allura is Kavarn and actually did the whole shit. And then it was an imposter that hired them, hired by Allura. I don't know. And they're going to get there, and Kavarn is going to be either Allura or Kima, and the other one is also an imposter. Like, they're not the main imposter, but they are also an imposter. That is like, haha, whips out a dagger, you know, get ready to get blood sacrificed, kid. Get ready to, you know, open up this temple because, because the mind flayers weren't from this place. What the fuck is the name of this place? Yug. No, I keep thinking Yugg-Zaloth. Yug Viril. Okay, never mind. Viril kinda has a Kavarn type of vibe to it, and like the apostrophe in the middle of the word makes me feel like Kavarn and Yug Viril are connected outside of just the fact that Kavarn is currently in Yug Viril. Because like the assumption is that Kavarn is just in Yug Viril because the Elder Brain is there and Kavarn has charmed the Elder Brain, right? But the names share a bit of etymology. Like they kind of share some feel. So it could be that Yug Viril, because Clarota said, yeah, Yug Viril is not where the Mind Flayers are originally from. Clarota? Yug Viril? Kind of. But Kavarn sounds much more like it fits with the tone of Yug Viril, rather than a name like Clarota. And Clarota has distinctly said that the Mind Flayers are not from Yug Viril, that they moved in here afterward. So the temple was already here, and there's this whole legend about this fucking guy with the horns. And so Yug Viril was the resting place of the original horn bearer, and Kima or Allura, one of the two, finds one horn outside, and there's another horn hidden inside. They need a blood sacrifice. That's why they've hired the party. That's why it's a ludicrous amount of gold. And why Matt has been giving them gold this whole time, because he knows that the 10K is fake. This is my final theory. This is my fucking poker table chips all in theory. Is that it is Allura and Kima working together. One of them is Kavarn. One of them wants to get the other horn. That's my theory.
Your essence shifts around and you look in the darkness and you see, slowly drifting out of the shadow, a single gnarled black horn. From underneath that horn you can see now a physical form that it adorns. Dark brown leathery skin with slightly pointed edges, almost like scales that form out of portions of this flesh. You see below this horn one large, piercing, sky blue eye that glances up and meets your gaze. As it does, from beneath that eye, you see a toothy maw tear into a wide grin.
Toothy maw.
And around the outskirts of the singular eye, numerous other eyes shift around. Coming into the light, you see now a fleshy ball that is drifting in the air itself under its own physical form. This aberration, this horrible entity is now floating forward. You can see metal plates that are grafted to the physical body of this creature.
Oh, come on.
Apparently, Kavarn has experimented on itself. These eyes are attached to strange finger-like stalks that twist out of its body. These eyes darting around the room, looking at different directions. And then they all singularly shift on you at once. As it does, you can feel, all of a sudden, your presence, which has been drifting through the scrying spell, locked in place. And for a second, you feel like you can't breathe. As Kavarn presses towards you, this fleshy sphere of eye stalks and teeth, this small chuckle billows up from deep within its mouth.
So, guest, do you like my home? You're welcome anytime.
At which point the horn seems to glow with this creepy greenish energy, and you feel this piercing pain blast into your head. You try and scream, but you can't. There's no breath. Go ahead and make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh no.
Oh god.
Orion, shut the fuck up. Oh my god. You get 2 tallies for that shit. So it's a beholder? I mean, it's cool. I love beholders. That's cool.
Oh god.
Do I still have my enhance ability up?
No, because that's
Dude,
concentration.
What does Keyleth
look like to us right now?
Since we're
Keyleth
holding
is
hands,
sweating profusely, and you can see she's
I'm walking up to
flinching.
Keyleth and I'm grabbing her by the shirt and I'm gonna slap her across the face.
All right.
27.
27. All right. Nice. Good. You take 11 points of psychic damage and are thrust out of the scry spell. Your vision is pulled out of the top of the temple, and suddenly you're back in your form.
I should. Hush, Richard. Oh man. Yeah, that's not how scry works at all. That's. I mean, it's cool. It was a cool scene. I don't know what to think.
As a sharp pain hits you across the side of the head. That's holding you.
Christ, what? Why?
It looked like
Why?
you had a rough time.
You were in pain. Are you alright?
You were about to.
Are you alright?
You were in pain, so I thought I'd fucking slap you across the face. Gee.
Are we hitting each other
Language.
Sorry.
Wow.
What did you
What did you
see?
see?
So she tells us, right?
Kavarn's the beholder.
A beholder? What's that?
It is really not a thing we want to fight. It is awful. It is wretched. It will kill all of us if we don't find out a way to kill it. Oh my god.
Not
Wait,
only
so you
is
said there's
Kavarn
a-
a beholder, Kavarn has been experimenting on himself, and so he has armor grafted on him, and the horn, which I don't know.
Wait.
What is
So
a
you said
beholder?
there's something caging the elder brain, right?
Yes.
You're right, Sam. It does make way more sense with a beholder around.
That big green light. You see that? Can we? Is it like the Luxor in Vegas? Can we see the green light?
It's not a beam, but you do see a slight green glow at the top of the temple in the distance.
Okay.
You saw it when you first entered, and it's kind of been this dull beacon whenever you travel around the island.
There's something connected to the top of the temple that's caging the elder brain?
It's like an arcane prison, and
As
all
they're
of
talking about this,
the elder
I'm
brain.
writing a note.
Is
Again.
it possible to maybe collapse the top of the temple from far away and release the elder brain from its cage, and then the other Clarota, your brethren, could fight the beholder instead of us?
Clarota, do you know how we could possibly break this prison?
Could you tell me what a beholder is first? Since I don't know.
Oh, right.
Big bad scary thing.
But
With finger eyes.
Right.
but yeah.
DM. I write a
Help us.
detailed.
I'm assuming I know.
That's a beholder.
Oh, the thing on the front of the monster manual.
Yes.
It's on the cover of a.
Worst possible scenario imaginable.
It's an
That's all you could have said.
The
You could have said that.
iconic
creature.
It's on the cover of Dungeons and Dragons Monthly right
There's
now.
the dragon.
It is the cover.
Yes. There's
cover
dragon,
model.
then beholder.
Oh my god. Well, we've killed a dragon.
Yeah, he's got lots of teeth. Let's brush up.
They're tentacle eyes. Each eye tends to have a beam that does a different ability.
Oh.
So it can probably. It's a magic fun bag. It's probably.
It's a grab bag of random shit. I feel okay. I don't want to ever overreact for stream when I'm not feeling it. So I want to be like, whoa, a beholder. I'm sure it's very intimidating to people that have not experienced a lot of beholders. It's just beholders are almost so famous that they're kind of it's almost like the answer to a riddle being Stairway to Heaven, you know? If you've never heard Stairway to Heaven, that's a crazy answer. But yeah, it's weird. I love Beholders. I love Beholders a lot. But yeah, I don't know. The title Kavarn revealed set up my expectations a little bit, honestly. It shouldn't have. I shouldn't have let it. This is cyberpunk syndrome. This is how I was with cyberpunk fucking 76. Well, with Fallout 76. But also Cyberpunk 2077. I watched all the fucking trailers for it, and when it came out, I was disappointed. In the future, I'm pretty sure the cast would ask Matt if their character would have heard of this monster before. They allowed a lot more metagaming in C1. Yeah. I mean, I was kind of brushing past it a little bit, but at least 5 of the members have never faced a beholder before. It may be even more than that. Yeah. And I think that's why, like, part of this stream is, like, me providing perspective as a longtime DM, but I also know as a longtime DM, like, things that I am just fundamentally aware of, are going to freak out and, like, be very impactful and, like, be a good DMing tool, for other DMs and other players. All right, cool. Yeah, if I had not had the expectation that it was going to be like a misdirection hidden Amogus thing, I would be like, oh, sick. A beholder, dope. Yeah, yeah, dude. Definitely 2 fucking check marks. Oh my god, man. Yeah. I think, honestly, the thing that I'm really coming to realize about Orion that is, like, kind of one of the cornerstones of my distaste is that is growing is his tendency to interrupt Matt during climactic moments so that he can change that moment to his fitting. I don't know. Yeah. You're the one that's been pinning this on Kima. I have been pinning it on Kima. I still think that there's something sus about Kima. I still think that she's a little bit of Mogus imposter. And that they're gonna, like, fucking kill the beholder and she's gonna take the horn and fucking snap it onto her head and then teleport herself out. I feel like I still don't trust Kima worth a hoot.
Cut everything from silence and dispel magic to petrify to a disintegration ray.
You're thinking about this wrong, though. You're thinking about this in the wrong direction. The Beholders is not. That's not the goal.
The horn is the goal.
Even more than that, it's the hundreds of allies we could have.
Exactly. Free the Elder Brain, they attack it.
Prison is the target.
Not the beholder.
Right.
Not the beholder. If we can free the Elder Brain,
we don't have to fight it ourselves.
Then we're not alone. Now, what was creating this green light? Where was it emanating from?
It just seemed to be emanating sort of from the top opening of this pyramid that was the main temple of the center.
Can you just describe the top of the pyramid?
I'll give you a detailed description. Essentially, this pyramid comes to a top and then flattens off at the very top. Where you would be a flat surface is instead essentially a windowed opening. Mm-hmm. You don't think it's purely open, like you could just jump through. There is some sort of a glass that coats it, but there is a brass crossbeam at the very top, and then part of this crossbeam holds aloft this strange, like, series of metallic wires that spiral and intertwine that kind of serves as a conical focus.
Yeah, absolutely nothing could go wrong.
Piece. You can't see the interior of it, but that is
it was almost like a beehive.
Essentially, like a slow beehive.
It was like focusing the energy and making.
We have something very important. We have a vial of yellow liquid.
So what does it do?
It might aid you. Don't know. It might do something.
It seems to be very acidic.
Okay.
So it could burn the metal?
It could melt the metal, and we could actually bring that entire structure just crashing down.
What, does anybody have an aging spell? Something that causes things to disintegrate, things to move
I
forward?
have-
Maybe we can rust the metal as well.
We have that yellow goop, and that will definitely help.
I have
know that it's acid.
Blight.
We
It
suspect.
might be a form changer
We
because
also have-
the
we also have
king
4
swallowed a
vials of
vial and
acid.
it made him strong.
I
says we have 4 barrels of acid.
actually, I can learn heat metal, and I can.
Gronk should be safe. I am very interested. I mean, this potion feels like a MacGuffin, and it feels like they're kind of latching onto that. The puzzle is being presented. I'm interested.
I can heat the beam and make it.
He's got vials of acid in his
Oh,
bag.
I mean, it's like a big heat.
Excellent. Okay,
We're gonna break the temple.
let's break the temple.
Breaking
Close
the
acid.
temple.
At this point, as you guys look over at Clarota, you can see Clarota, for the first time in a while, looks visually disturbed. Has kind of withdrawn from the group and is kind of leaning against the side of the beach cavern wall. And the tentacles that normally just kind of slowly twirling are all tensed and pulled up into a knot. And Clarota just...
Clarota, you're gonna cramp your face if you do that.
Have something to say, we would appreciate it.
Keep making that face, it'll freeze that way.
The fact that Kvarn is of this creature, it's a beholder, and carries this horn.
Small tips thing I only spotted on rewatch. I used to weird mean stare at the DM, tosses pencil down. Yeah, dude, I didn't even notice that because I was looking elsewhere. So I won't put it on the tally, but yeah. The Tesseract was a MacGuffin, and it turned out to be an Infinity Stone. Yeah, it was a MacGuffin that turned out to be a collection of 5 MacGuffins. Yeah.
Lady Kima has spoken of. It's a great danger. Also, keep in mind, the temple is not made of average stone and metals. This is the center of the Elder Brain. We reinforce it with magical protection. It's the center of our entire species' knowledge. Every brain in there is our elders. As we pass to the next generation, our mind gets brought and introduced to the Elder Brain. We have that room protected from simple acids. We must make sure we are ready.
Clarota, Keyleth is scrying the top of the building right now. It didn't look like it was part of the original structure. Is she mistaken? Is the top something that was built by your people?
No, it was open before. There seems to be some sort of new focus that Kvarn has constructed.
Would that be as strong as the rest of the building, as you think?
I do not know, but if I've seen anything of the nature of this insidious creature, I would say plan for the worst. Nothing is more terrifying than underestimating a beholder.
I love it when the NPC tells me to not underestimate the main villain that the DM has prepped for me. I mean, it's fine. It's not that bad, but it's very hand of the DM, like, hey, you guys can't take this if you don't plan for it energy. Which I've talked about, like, I foreshadow fights that my players can't win and they, like, need clever and alternate strategies before. Maybe just with, like, slightly more tact. But, I don't know, it was just kind of funny to me.
Can beholders fly? They can. Okay.
Okay.
What can't they do?
Not much. Not much. Why don't we?
They're normally very fleshy and weak, right? But he put armor on himself, so now he's extra strong.
I'm telling you, the Tarrasque is not to be trifled with. You really... I don't know. I don't know if you were thinking about trifling with him, but he shouldn't be trifled with.
Kima,
I'm assuming. Oh, go ahead.
Then Kima just kind of says, "The key here is not to think how to fight it head on. We have to be smart about this. While he has the home turf, we have the element of surprise. We choose the grounds in which we attack, and we choose the methods in which we set the battlefield.
Underwater fight.
We could try to just draw him out somehow.
I highly doubt he's going to leave his home turf, but if we can find a way to perhaps turn it against him or use it to our advantage. Maybe some reconnaissance, I don't know.
Reconnaissance?
I mean,
I don't know!
It is glass on the top, so we could try the sunlight.
I have something called divine intervention, and you can call on your deity, and you roll a percentile die, and you can have them help you with something.
So is it possible to try to get her help before we do this, or is it something that
I
you
know,
have
is
to
this
do
something
on
we
the
wait
spot?
on? I don't know, because this is new.
That's up to you. You can attempt it once a day, and once it works, it can't be done for another week.
So if we attempt it, then she can intervene. She can be like on our side.
In some way, essentially, you formulate how you want your deity's aid, and if you succeed...
Hey man, I'll let Richard take that one of the real casual ability of a cleric to just like phone up their god and just get some real quick help. You know, super duper casual. Nothing to even really discuss. I don't really know why you're wigged out about it, Sam.
You have a 10% chance of success. In some divine way, Saren Ray will guide power or aid to you.
10%.
Well,
Why don't you wait on that?
10%.
Well, we either have a 10% chance right now for her to tell us what to do, or a 10% chance
to help us do it.
Once we know what we're doing.
Yeah,
let's
let's
do
wait
it.
till we
Percy's
know what we're
idea,
doing.
though. I believe we should go and rescue the prisoners and build a small army.
Yeah.
Moreover,
But
I've been thinking, it all goes downward, correct? These all up in the pit, yes?
The world is down here?
No, the beholder, Kavan.
He's on top of a pyramid.
He's in a pyramid.
Up or down?
Up.
Ah, well, that
Yeah, well-
doesn't help me at all.
Bro, what? Oh for 4. Yeah, fair enough, Richard.
I feel like we should go for the top.
How would we free the prisoners, first of all? How are they all...
I mean, the prisoners
I
are
think
those
it's that
things
beehive
that-
structure.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
free
we
the
need to
prisoners.
take out the metal thingy.
It's not letting them out. We have to get them out of Kavan's control.
Which we
so
can't
how
do,
do we
right?
do that?
Right.
I think we destroy the beehive
Structure at
structure.
the top.
Destroy the structure.
It's the only thing. It's the only option that seems open to us.
Yeah. What
Unless
if,
we keep stumbling around and looking for some other weird thing.
We don't have any kind of corruption spell that ages things.
Well, we've
If
got
we
the
age
acid
metal-
thing. And
What a specific spell to want. I mean, that actually sounds like a really dope spell. But what? How specific? We need some clay to call.
But it's
maybe
protected
Grog
by
can-
magic.
But what if we like hit it with the spell magic? Maybe get your goddess's aid. Hit it with the spell magic. Hit it with corruption. Rust the shit, and then it falls, and then
We
everything.
don't have corruption.
Dun, 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 dun.
Can scan them most
Well,
of
we've
them.
got that-
We mock the top
Oh, I
of
can
the
mock.
pyramid.
I can mock.
Acid.
That will
F
not
you,
really do it
brass
for us.
cross.
I like Percy's idea. We've got that acidic vial, which seems to be very acidic.
We have several vials.
Yes,
of
we're
acid.
carrying some acid.
We have 3 vials
Can you
of normal
take
acid
can you
and
take
one
the
yellow.
normal acid and can we make it magical?
Like extra bad. We don't even know
Well,
what
why
it does
don't
yet.
I can always like be an eagle, and I can maybe fly, or maybe Grog can carry. Grog can carry like a big boulder. That way, after
put it
the
on my
acid
finger?
has like
I
sucked
thought
in,
about
you
making
can
an acid arrow. I
throw
really
a big
did.
boulder to collapse it the rest of the
Arrow,
way.
question.
to give
You
me
built a
up
bomb before.
Get you up there.
If we could
months.
hole up for months or
took
weeks,
months.
was it?
Yeah, it took a
Months.
month.
It took me months to figure out how to build. Although that was a very
Now that you
complex
know
bomb.
how to build one, would it be quicker the second
Wait, the
time?
bomb we just threw in that room?
That's crazy. The bomb that they just used to kill 5 Grick was a months-long bomb. Perform ceremony, make holy acid. I don't know if holy. Maybe.
I could make an exploding arrow. I've
What a
made
waste.
one. I could make another.
I mean, we killed him. I guess that's good.
I would say your materials are very limited.
At this point, though, if I had a workshop, I could.
Well, let's take
very
Kima's
little
advice and maybe start with a little reconnaissance. We'll get closer, we'll rest for the night, and maybe send in just a little bit of a
Why do we
snooping.
need it? So I thought I'd fucking slap you across the face. Gee.
Are we hitting each other now?
Language.
Sorry.
Wow.
What did you
What did
see?
you see?
Hey, we.
So she tells us, right?
Kavarn's the beholder.
A beholder? What's that?
It is really not a thing we want to fight. It is awful. It is wretched. It will kill all of us if we don't find out a way to kill it. Oh my god.
Not
Wait,
only
so you
is
said there's
Kavarn
a-
a beholder, Kavarn has been experimenting on himself, and so he has armor grafted on him, and the horn, which I don't know.
Wait.
What is
So
a
you said
beholder?
there's
thought I
something
saw-
caging the elder brain, right?
Yes.
You're right, Sam. It does make way more sense with a beholder around.
That big green light. You see that? Can we? Is it like the Luxor in Vegas? Can we see the green light?
It's not a beam, but you do see a slight green glow at the top of the temple in the distance.
Okay.
You saw it when you first entered, and it's kind of been this dull beacon whenever
So
you traveled around the island.
there's something connected to the top of the temple that's caging the elder brain?
It's like an arcane prison, and
As
all
they're
of the
talking about this,
the elder
I'm
brain.
writing a note.
Is it possible to maybe collapse the top of the temple from far away and release the elder brain from its cage, and then the other Clarota, your brethren, could fight the beholder instead of us?
Clarota, do you know how we could possibly break this prison?
Could you tell me what a beholder is first, since I don't know?
Oh, right.
Big, bad, scary thing.
But
With finger eyes.
Right?
yeah.
DM. I write a
Help us.
detailed.
I'm assuming I know.
That's a beholder.
Oh, the thing on the front of the monster manual.
Yes.
It's on the cover of a.
Worst
of a
possible
book.
scenario imaginable.
That's all you could have said. You could have said that.
It's on the cover of Dungeons and Dragons Monthly, right?
There's the dragon.
It is the cover.
Yes. There's
cover
dragon,
model.
then beholder.
Oh my god. Oh, we've killed a dragon.
Yeah, he's got lots of teeth. Let's brush up.
They're tentacle eyes. Each eye tends to have a beam that does a different ability. So it can probably. It's a magic fun bag. It's probably.
It's a grab bag of random shit. I feel okay. I don't want to ever overreact for stream when I'm not feeling it. So I want to be like, whoa, a beholder. I'm sure it's very intimidating to people that have not experienced a lot of beholders. It's just beholders are almost so famous that they're kind of it's almost like the answer to a riddle being Stairway to Heaven, you know? If you've never heard Stairway to Heaven, that's a crazy answer. But yeah, it's weird. I love beholders. I love beholders a lot. But yeah, I don't know. The title Kavarn Revealed set up my expectations a little bit, honestly. It shouldn't have. I shouldn't have let it. This is cyberpunk syndrome. This is how I was with cyberpunk fucking 76. Well, with Fallout 76. But also cyberpunk 2077. I watched all the fucking trailers for it, and when it came out, I was disappointed. In the future, I'm pretty sure the cast would ask Matt if their character would have heard of this monster before. They allowed a lot more metagaming in C1. Yeah. I mean, I was kind of brushing past it a little bit, but at least 5 of the members have never faced a beholder before. It may be even more than that. Yeah. And I think that's why, part of this stream is me providing perspective as a longtime DM, but I also know as a longtime DM, things that I am just fundamentally aware of, are going to freak out and be very impactful and be a good DMing tool, for other DMs and other players. Episode 10, Kavarn Revealed. I am not off of my soapbox yet. I am not off of my crackpot theories yet. There's still... There's shit going on here. I haven't figured out what yet. But I'm gonna. And by I'm gonna, I mean I'm gonna watch the show and it'll be displayed to me. But good episode overall. We introduced award-winning new element called Orion Annoys Me so that I can stop talking about it. Because I have a feeling it's gonna happen more and more and more lately. Yeah, we'll see. And now we get a cliffhanger until next week, depending on how you feel after 72 hours. Something tells me that we probably will not be watching episode 11 on Monday. Next Monday. I would guess by next Wednesday I'll be back in tip-top shape. For episode 11. Yeah. Good night, Jack. Thank you for the stream. Fuck you, Richard. I'll ban you. Can I ban you from tipping specifically? That'd be... I don't want to ban you from anything else, just from tipping. No Electrum.